your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside a Wednesday edition of Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig live with you in the studio with Mr. Ty Bartell. Ty, how we doing today?
Doing real good, Anthony. How are you?
You got the red on the red. So
Yeah.
you're trying to blend in a little bit. Think camouflage.
Absolutely.
Got a fun show for you all today. We have two guests lined up, along with Brian Tolnar's weekly segment. Randy Clark, head coach of the Brookfield Warriors football team, joining us at 12:30. Brian Tolnar will be joining us at 1 o'clock, and Christina Baker will be joining us at 2:30. She is the head coach of the Newton Falls volleyball team. Got a win last night, by the way. Newton Falls off to a good start. We'll also have Scotty Mitchell come in at 2 o'clock, and he'll try to play Stump Ty.
Yeah, looking
You
forward
ready
to
for it?
Oh, yeah, looking forward to it.
I want to remind everybody that the comment section brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi is alive. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, make sure to leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Also, the fan line is open. 330-886-0813 is the number to reach us at. We would love to hear from our fans, our adoring fans, I'm sure. But before we get into all the fun, we have scores to go over last night. Volleyball is in full swing now. Every team in the YSN family has officially had at least one game under their belt, I believe. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But I believe every volleyball team has at least started the season. And we can't go anywhere without talking about this Girard Lakeview game, maybe the biggest game on the docket last night. NE8 matchup right off the jump, and two teams that we expect to be at the top. And Girard, hey, they found themselves down 2-0, and they put their foot in the ground, came together as a team, and won 3-2 over Lakeview. Beat the three-time defending champions, the team that's only lost one game in NE8 in 3 years. Girard sends a statement early, wins the first game of the NE8 season against Lakeview.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a huge win for Girard, especially after last season losing that second game 3-2. And Lakeview a little bit down on their luck after losing 3 straight sets to Crestview. So they were coming into this matchup pretty angry, and they did. They came out emphatically and put Girard down in a 0-2 hole. But those resilient Girard girls, they were able to dig themselves out of that hole and put up 3 straight sets of just mistake-free volleyball enough to come away with a big win over a very tough NE8 division foe.
Lauren Pallone, 25 kills to lead the Indians, but Brie Littell, not to be too outshined, she also had 20 kills. So between those two, 45 kills combined. It's just remarkable what they've been able to do. Those two are a tandem that are forced to be reckoned with. Tara Lytle on Lakeview's side also put on a show. She had 22 kills. For Lakeview, Maggie Pavlansky led them in assists with 18, and Maddie Bayes led them in digs with 11. We caught up with Girard head coach Phil Walters after the game, and we're going to play this post-game interview with you here on Running Point. So hear from Coach Walters after Girard's big win over Lakeview. Phil Walters here with Anthony Hartwig after Girard's big 3-2 win over Lakeview here tonight. Coach, that's a great way to open the season for you guys.
Absolutely. We had a good night last night, and, to come back from a 2-set deficit, that's impressive for the girls. I told them take that away because that's probably the most important thing. Be able to play when you're down is huge.
like you said, they go down 2-0 to a Lakeview team that has been dominant for the last couple of years. What do you think it took to kind of come back from that?
I tell you what, it's maturity. We have some young kids, and I think once they grow and start learning how to play together, I think they're going to be even a lot stronger. And I think that's what it is. It's we have a lot of youth right now. Even our primary hitters are still quasi young, and once they get to a point where I think they learn to play with each other and just work with their abilities and just start believing in themselves, they're going to play good. If they can believe in themselves, that's the key right there.
We have to talk about Lauren Pallone.
Yes.
25 kills on the day. What's it like to be able to coach someone like that can take over games like she can?
Well, Lauren's amazing. I try not to give kids too much credit while we're playing, but with her, but she's just amazing. She's an amazing athlete. Probably one of the top 2 kids I've had the opportunity to coach in my 20 plus years. She is, just a force to be reckoned with on the court. And her abilities speak for themselves, and her stats also.
This is a big win, but it's a whole season to go for you guys. How are you going to manage the not riding the mental high of beating Lakeview and taking care of the rest of the schedule?
I think in sports in general, you just take it a day at a time. You never get too far ahead. We don't talk about tomorrow. We talk about tonight. We talk about the next practice. There's always fundamentals to work on. There's always things that we need. I'll tell you right now, we had a lot of unforced errors tonight that we need to correct. And, we go back to the drawing board every time. And I think it's just that getting in their heads that, we can be better. You can always be better. You might win by a few points, but you can win by a few more the next time.
Everyone got to see the reaction of the team after this win. Can you put into words what this kind of means for the morale of the team? Because obviously everyone knows Lakeview's been the dominant team in the league. You beat them in the first game. It's got to mean a lot to the team.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's, we just had the stigma of them being, beating us for the last few years. And just to come out and play them strong. I mean, they're always tough. Always. For as long as we've played them, they've always given us a great match. I think the kids, it speaks for itself. They were just so excited to win, especially when you lose to a team that much.
Coach, before we let you go, what are some of your overall goals for the rest of the season?
Man, I tell you, I got one goal, and it's just cleaning up the unforced errors. I always say, I appreciate the sport more than I do the wins. I just want to see us play clean volleyball. I want to see us, clean up what we can clean up and just to play hard, aggressive volleyball. Keep the ball on the court and don't cut our own throats,
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time after your win. Celebrate this one for a little bit and then get back on the horse. We'll see you again real soon this year.
All right, thanks.
That was Coach Phil Walters of the Girard Indians talking about their big win over Lakeview last night. And one of the things he said was, "Just fix the unforced errors." I love that they get the big win over Lakeview, and he still sees things to improve. And they're gonna keep improving as the year goes on.
Oh, absolutely. Season is still very young, and you got to keep focusing up. You still got about 20-some games to go left in the season, and you got to jam-pack those all in the next about month and a half. So you have no time really to celebrate this win. You got to celebrate it for a night, but you got to refocus because a lot of these teams, and I believe Girard is right back on the docket, if not tonight, tomorrow.
Yeah, most volleyball teams are off tonight, but tomorrow back to full range of volleyball. We talked about this with football. When you have such a high emotion win, you got to kind of understand that there's a whole rest of the season you have to take care of business. If Girard stubs their toe twice in the NE8 against teams that maybe they should beat, this win kind of loses a lot of value. So I think that mentality and making sure they don't, like Coach Bailey, we're going to go back to his interview. I know you love it. Stay even. And that's what Girard's going to have to do.
Yeah, and exactly what Girard's going to have to do. You get a big win against a very tough NE8 opponent. There's still a very tough NE8 schedule ahead of you. And a lot of the NE8 has just been put on notice because of Girard's big win.
Yeah, they kind of planted their flag right there. I love the fact that Coach Walters gave us his time. I tried to get him on the show, and he works a full-time job as an IT guy. And he goes, if I do an interview during the day, with my luck, I get called in the middle of the interview and have to leave. And we were like, I'll just get you after the game. But we appreciate the time, and he did feel pretty bad that he couldn't come on the show in person. But we got him. We got him.
Try to get all of our coaches as best as we can, as we understand all of our coaches. Some have a very constricted time schedule as well.
Yeah, most of them are teachers, but some of them aren't. Some of them have a full-time job that they have to kind of stick to for the rest of the year. As we go through our scores from last night and talk about these games, let's look a little bit at Austintown Fitch, a team that you're going to be pretty familiar with. They opened the season. They looked very impressive. They sweep Ursuline 3-0. You look at the stats. Alyssa Leskovac had 16 digs and 9 kills, 5 aces. Jocelyn Jordan had 16 kills, and Aaron Burke had 43 assists. And then junior Sierra Cable, a new name that wasn't talked about a lot last year, went with 8 digs and 6 aces. So even some new faces for Fitch stepping up and making some impact on varsity early as the Falcons sweep 3-0 to Ursuline.
Big name to talk about there was Aaron Burke, and that is one of the big topics me and Jody Bartlett caught up with before that game with Ursuline. We talked about this upcoming week, and she previewed the Ursuline, Howland, and the Marlington games this upcoming week, and that was the big topic of discussion is with Emma Bartlett no longer being the setter, how Aaron Burke was going to transition to that spot, and 43 assists on the night is not a bad night by any stretch of the imagination. Very, very good night for Burke, and it just goes to show that she's not missing a beat going into that Falcon system.
Jackson Milton got into a thriller with Mineral Ridge, as we talked about that game being a key in the MVAC Scarlet tier. And they went 5 sets. Jackson Milton won it in 5, winning the final set 15-9 after the second and third sets both went 25-23. Very impressive night for Jackson Milton. They beat the reigning champs of the MVAC in Mineral Ridge. Leading kill getter for them was Kylie Wilson with 7. Leading in digs was Chloe Gibson with 15. Leading in assist was Paige Grove with 12. Mia Greco had 3 blocks. And Jackson Milton, just like Girard, sending a statement to the rest of the league by beating the reigning champs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Jackson Milton getting off to a strong start in the season. And the beautiful thing about volleyball is you got to beat that team 3 sets. And unless you do that, you got to have a great night, not just a great set. And that just goes to prove that Jackson Milton had a great night.
Springfield got the big win over Lowville last night. They were able to take it in 4 sets. The scores there were 25-17. 22-25, 21-25, 25. Oh, actually, they won it in 5 sets. Excuse me. So 21-25, 25-16, and 15-8. The Tigers win a 5-set thriller with Lowville. Maddie Lesnick led the Tigers with 14 kills and 7 aces. 7 aces. That's a big number for a match. Sarah Pontius was right behind her with 13 kills. Gianna Pachuta finished the evening with 43 assists, so she set the offense pretty well. Brooke Cunningham also was in double figures with digs with 11. So a lot of different contributors for the Tigers. They moved to 1-1 on the year. For Lowville, Haley Cutter led the Rockets with 6 kills. Sam Moore had the offense running as the setter with 27 digs, and Sammy Kelly served up 4 aces for the Rockets. So Springfield wins a thriller over Lowville in 5 sets.
Yeah, good. Big win, too, for Springfield, and just looks forward to more battles in between these teams, too, as Lowville looks to be fielding a pretty good program as well. So look forward to both these teams throughout the season as they both look to be pretty successful. That's a great 5-match set, and we've been seeing a lot of those in the area as of late.
A lot of good volleyball in the first couple of days of the season. Columbiana got a strong foothold of the EOAC to start as they open up the conference slate with a 3-set win over United. The scores there 25-19, 25-12, 27-25. Leading the Clippers was Julia Rapp and Ava Hidrich, who both had 5 kills on the night. Tori Long, 4 kills, 8 digs for her. Ellie Jackson, the new setter, had 9 assists, and she also collected 6 aces. So Columbiana will move on to go play Latonia on Thursday. United hosts East Palestine. I will be in United for that match. So United hosting East Palestine will be on ysnlive.com. The Eagles trying to bounce back. They look to be competitive in the EOAC, but they start off by getting swept by Columbiana.
Yeah, and I mean, going to look to redeem themselves against an East Palestine team that also is looking to make a strong footprint as well in the EOAC. So, I mean, look forward to this matchup. It looks to be a tough one.
And what United did do well is they kept Tori Long quiet. She's usually having doubles like it's her job, just 4 kills on the night. But when you focus so much on one player, other ones can come up and beat you. And Julia Rapp stepped up for Columbiana and led the team in kills and took the pressure off of Tori Long.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of just goes back to that whole part in the Last Dance documentary, if you remember, and talking about when you got to build those championship teams and those teams that are very successful. It's not just a one player. You need to have other weapons and other threats, and that doesn't just go in basketball. That goes across all sports. Volleyball is a very good example of that as well. You can't just have one top kill getter. You need to have other weapons because teams can adjust and game plan to stop one top kill getter. They can't stop you if you're a full front attack.
Cardinal Mooney with a big win over Howland in 4 sets. The scores there 24-26, 25-23, 25-17, and 25-16. Elena Scavino had a big night, a double-double for Mooney. She had 19 kills and 20 digs. Elena Francis was not to be outdone. She had a double-double as well, 13 kills, 14 digs. Angelina Rotuno, hey, another double-double for Mooney, the third player to get a double-double on the night for them. She went 42 assists, 14 digs. Mooney will host Canfield on Thursday. So a big night for Mooney, but also a big challenge ahead as they host the Cardinals on Thursday.
Yeah, a couple of Cardinals going head-to-head on Thursday, and it's going to be a good matchup, too, because Mooney looking to have a very good program, and we know what Canfield's looking to have over there, so it looks to be a very good matchup, I think, on Thursday.
And Canfield, we can tell you, opened the season with a 3-1 loss to Hoban. We were not given stats to that as of yet. If we are given stats at some point, we will share them. But Canfield opens the season with a loss to Akron Hoban in 4 sets. So Canfield's going to be looking to bounce back in that Mooney game on Thursday.
Yeah, going up against a very tough Akron Hoban team, too. Not what you want to have the outcome be, but better that you get those early season jitters, I guess, out of the way early on. And I mean, it's still a very tough opponent, and it's going to be worth the experience by the end of the season.
Crestview took care of business as they went to Liberty and got their MVAC season started with a 3-set sweep of the Leopards, 25-9, 25-8, 25-14. Lucy Montgomery led the Rebels with 8 kills and 8 assists. She was backed up by Grace Auer, who had 12 assists and 7 kills. Shelby Rambo contributed 7 kills as well. As you look on, she also had 3 blocks. Abby Imsch was right there with her. She had 4 blocks and 7 kills. The Rebels will return to action Thursday, and they host Champion. So the Rebels making a firm statement in the MVAC that they are still there. They're still someone to be not to be messed with in the MVAC. Very dominant team. They make a quick sweep over Liberty.
Yeah, they minced no words about it. They came right in, did their job, did what they were supposed to do, and came away with a 3-set sweep and left nothing on the table. And that's what you expect those good teams to do, and that's what Crestview is going to need to do going forward if they want to set the tone in that MVAC.
South Range with a sweep over Struthers to start their NE8 schedule. Scores there were 25-15, 25-14, 25-21. Maria Primavera continues her impressive look this season. Double-double for her, almost a double-double, I'm sorry. She was 1 dig away from a double-double. 13 kills, 9 digs. Julia Blasco was also in double figures with kills. She had 10. Reagan Irons continues to play solid defense on the season, 29 digs for her, and she had a pair of aces. So we were not given stats for Struthers, but they lost in 3. The Raiders return to action on Thursday as they travel to Jefferson, and Struthers is also on the road on Thursday. They go to Niles.
Yep, and that Niles matchup should be another good matchup for Struthers. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Wildcats do responding now that they have their first loss. South Range doing much of what they are expected to do in that NE8. We expect them to be another one of those teams towards the top, and just proving it again. They're playing for a deeper meaning and a deeper reason, of course, this year. So South Range again coming away with a big victory, but I was impressed with how competitive Struthers was able to stay in it, considering that a year ago they might might not have been as competitive. So, I mean, you see the improvement still with the Wildcats, and I think this is going to be a big test coming up against Niles to see if they can respond.
Yeah, and you look at the next score that we have. Jefferson spoils Poland's home opener. The Falcons, who were 10-4 in the NE8 last year, open up the NE8 season this year with a 3-set victory over Poland, 25-21, 25-18, 25-17. They are 2-0 overall, 1-0 in the NE8. The JV also won in 3 sets, by the way. Poland, Sarah Forsyth led the offense with 6 kills. Kali Katsianos, that's a name, led the team in digs with 12. Maria Torres led with 7 assists, and Morgan Kluchar had a pair of blocks for Poland. So Poland drops to 0-1. They will look to continue their season. They travel to Lakeview, very angry Lakeview team, on Thursday. Obviously, Jefferson hosting South Range. Tough matchup for both those teams in the NE8 on Thursday.
Yeah, Poland going to have to try to respond. And, of course, Lakeview now looking to respond, almost desperately needing a win now going and starting the season 0-2 to reestablish that dominance and reestablish themselves in the NE8. You got to figure they need to get an NE8 victory. But Poland, of course, after losing now to Jefferson, they're not going to look to be a pushover either. And that Poland-Jefferson, it seems like everyone's a rival with Poland anyway, but Jefferson's starting to kind of build a rivalry over there. As we saw them in basketball, too. Those two were competing, I believe, in both boys and girls. And there was some big marquee games there and another big one here in volleyball as well, as both these teams starting to be really competitive with each other.
Wellsville still as dominant as ever in the EOAC. They go and they sweep East Palestine 25-18, 25-9, 25-20. Those are 2 scores, 2 sets, very competitive. And when you're playing a team like Wellsville, you can't give up a set. And it looks like East Palestine did that in the second one, 25-9.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to try to be competitive, and it looked like East Palestine was competitive, but I mean, Wellsville coming in with a stronger front, and East Palestine just need to make more of those adjustments, and I think it's just early season hiccups right now.
Wellsville freshman Presley Stokes made a great debut, 19 kills for her, 2 blocks for the Tigers. Elena Amato showcased her talent with 5 aces, 4 kills, and 4 digs. Audrey Ramsey had 4 kills, 3 aces, and you look at some other Tigers contributors. Sam Drysdale had 4 blocks, 2 kills. Gia Pucci and Paige Green both combined for 8 aces. For East Palestine, Gia Bristelli was 7 points and a pair of aces. Mia Lee had 9 kills. Senior Sophia Foster had 5 points and earned the 18 digs defensively, so she led the team in digs. Leading the way in assists for the Bulldogs was Mackenzie Parker with 7. East Palestine once again goes to United on Thursday to continue EOAC action. And the Bulldogs, that game once again will be on ysnlive.com. Bulldogs and United both trying to respond after losses.
Yep, absolutely, and we'll see what they're able to do. As a lot of teams right now trying to come back after a very tough game 1 too. So we'll have to see how these teams respond. As it's a very short season, a long season in a short amount of days. So you have to get right back on it.
Dan McKinstry in his second game at the helm at East Liverpool went into Salem and beat the Potters in a 4-set match. The scores there, 25-23, 18-25, 25-12, 25-21, and they get the victory in the Kent State Volleyball Classic at John A. Cabas Gymnasium in Salem. You look at the Potters, they were led by Kyla White, who we profile on their preview. We expect big things from Miss White, and she did not disappoint. 22 kills on the night for her, and 8 of them were in the 3rd set. Faith Grafton had 19 assists for East Liverpool. You look at Gabby George, had 8 assists as well, so they run a 6-2. Nadia Williams contributed 8 kills. Salem was led by Riley Troy, 15 kills, 10 digs, so a double-double for Riley. Zoe Reed with 10 kills and 7 digs. Salem will move on to travel to Boardman on Saturday. I will be there, so that will be on ysnlive.com. The Potters are 2-0, and they will continue to look to win as they host East Liverpool on Thursday. Big game between Beaver Local. I'm sorry. Obviously, East Liverpool isn't hosting East Liverpool. East Liverpool hosts Beaver Local, but big game between two big rivals on Thursday as the Potters welcome in the Beavers.
Especially after a big win, coming off of a big win and knowing how successful Beaver Local was last year, expecting the same success this year, and it looks to be no different. It's going to be a big matchup early on in the season.
So just to kind of, we just threw a lot of stuff at you to kind of recap the night of volleyball, man. Girard with a big win over reigning champs Lakeview. We saw Jackson Milton with a big win over reigning champs Lakeview, and so some big new faces in the volleyball scene.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we said, too, especially these first couple weeks of the season. There's a lot of freshmen that we're not saying the names of now, but we'll probably be saying the names of by the end of the season, as a lot of these younger girls are going to burst onto the scene.
We'll take a quick break on the other end. Randy Clark of Brookfield Football will join us on Running Point, and we'll talk to Coach Clark about his team's big win in Week 1 and the challenge awaiting them in Week 2. Don't go anywhere. Running Point brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman. WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Custom order your Ford your way at Tri-State Ford. Choose the available features that fit your life and style, from the all-new 2022 Ford Maverick F-150 Lightning through the entire Ford lineup. Pick your color, trim level, and options. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. Start your custom order today. Stop in or visit tristateford.net. Customer-focused, community-driven. Tri-State Ford, East Liverpool.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell, and joining us on Running Point today is Randy Clark, head coach of the Brookfield Warriors football team. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Big win in Week 1. You go into McDonald and you dominate the Blue Devils 35-6. Talk a little bit about what went into that win and some of the things you saw from your kids and some of the things that you're proud of for that Week 1 effort.
Well, I was just very proud of our kids, the way they responded. They played well for a lot of guys that actually their first game really playing varsity. But we still had quite a bit of kids back from last year. But our aggressiveness and our toughness really showed in Week 1.
Coach, you talk about that aggressiveness and toughness. I think there's no doubt that what your offense did against a very good McDonald defense and a very good McDonald line was very impressive Week 1. Talk to me about what you game planned with your offense for Week 1 and what you saw out there on the field.
Well, we just do what we do, and we thought, we think we're very good up front. I mean, this is probably one of my better offensive lines I've had in a while. All the way from one end to the other end. We got some good size, and we our motto is to be aggressive, and that's what we were on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and you were very aggressive. You come out with a win 35-6 over McDonald. How important was it to you in the game plan to set the tone and really get a grapple of that game early? Because that's what you guys did. You set the tone early, and you came out and dominated from the start. So how important was it for you guys to set the tone early in that game?
Well, that's a very important aspect of the game. It's you got to come out, try to set the tone from the beginning, opening kickoff, or if you're kicking or returning. I think the first couple plays, either on offense or defense, are very, very important to any game.
There's no doubt that the McDonald fans are usually one of the most biggest supporters of the teams, of the community-wise. What was it like telling your players going into this game? With COVID last year, there wasn't really, fans weren't as big of an aspect in it. Was it a thing that you kind of talked about with your players about the fans being a big part of the game again?
Well, we always say, we talk to our kids about away games, about mental preparation, and don't get involved in the fan stuff. McDonald does have a very good following, but we once you get between the lines, I'm not sure how much of that you hear or pay attention to, but our kids are excited to be back playing in front of fans. There was a very good crowd there. Our kids are, I knew going into it, even though a lot of people didn't give us a whole lot of opportunity because, with Gibson gone and stuff like that. But I know we got so many weapons. It's actually sometimes hard to coach.
You get to open up in front of your home fans this week against a Springfield team looking to bounce back. Talk about this matchup, what kind of things you see, and what kind of things you're looking forward to in week 2.
Well, Springfield and us, year in, year out, other than last year with COVID, we play a very good game against each other. It's normally nit and tuck, and it can go either way. We're excited to play them. With 2 years in a row back to back state semifinalists, they're a very well coached team. You're not going to pull anything over on them. You're going to have to play, be fundamentally sound and execute to do what you need to do.
How does a game plan change from going to face a McDonald team that's usually ground and pound to a Springfield team that we know what Bo Brungard can do when he's under center?
Well, it changes a lot. It does change a lot. Bo is probably one of the best quarterbacks, not even in the area, probably in the state. We're excited to play against him. It's totally different. I can tell you that. The first 3 days we had here prepping for Springfield is a lot different than what we had to prep for McDonald, and Bo is a big part of it.
You're going for your 100th win on Friday night in your career. Can you put into words what that would mean to you, and when you look back on your career and all the wonderful players you've had the privilege to coach, and what that win and that milestone would mean for you as a coach?
Well, it's very important. To the school, to the community, and to myself. 100 years would be nice. 100 wins would be nice against a great team like this, especially being home. We're excited. The community's excited. It's a pretty big thing, and what I'm more proud of is that those 100 wins, over 70% of them was with my 2 sons.
And you talk about all those great teams, and every team, there's no doubt, year to year is so much different, and you could pick and choose, I think, different things that you like about each team each year. So going into this season, Coach, what do you think your favorite thing about this team is going to be?
Well, my favorite thing is that how everybody really didn't give us a whole lot of credit because, feeling that we lost our number one producer in Gibson, but we have so many weapons, and I knew the Pulowski kid, the way he worked in the off season and the way he works day in, day out, it was going to be fine. I knew he was going to be the key piece. And right now, in the 2 scrimmages in the first game, he's played very well.
You know, to get 100 wins, you obviously have to put your time in, which means you also have to have a passion for what you do. What kind of gives you the passion for coaching? What makes you love it so much? And what makes you love this Brookfield community so much that you keep coming back to it?
Well, I graduated from Brookfield in '82. I've been here all my life. It is Brookfield, and I enjoy the kids here. I got a relationship with a lot of people in the community. We stick together. And coaching isn't easy. It's a lot of time. I mean, we work at least 10 months a year towards to do what we do. I mean, our off-season program, we expect big things out of them, and we get a good participation in that. And to be coaching at Brookfield, where I've always been from, is phenomenal.
You talk about everyone in the area counting you guys out going into this season. I think there's no doubt the reason you guys are never counted out here and why you guys are so competitive is because of your youth players and these players that keep coming up through the ranks. Talk to me about some younger players on this Brookfield team that we might not be talking about right now, but you think we're going to be mentioning their names a lot by the end of the season.
Well, I have 4 freshmen right now that played probably 70% of the game last week. And there's 4 freshmen are probably one of my best 4 freshmen I've ever had. The Christian Davis kid, he scored last week on a punt return, a long run. He's going to be very special. We have Owen Shingeldecker, who plays linebacker, and he's our backup quarterback. He's a strong kid. He does well for us. We got Brian Reardon is a pure athlete, and this Japer kid plays offensive line and defensive end for us. They're filling spots that we probably thought we were going to have a little issue with, but as backups, but key backups.
Coach, talk about your staff, because we know that the head coaches get the limelight, they get the interviews, but they wouldn't be anything without the staff behind them. Talk about the coaches you have working with you and what they mean to the program.
Well, I have George Kirby, who's been with me for over 12 years. I have my son, Alex, he actually calls the offense now for us. He graduated in 2018. I got another ex-player, Carmen Ferrillo, O-line, D-line, does a great job for us. Joe Laverty has been with me for about 4 or 5 years. He used to coach middle school for me, does a great job. Nate Bodner, he's first year with me. He's doing a good job. Brad Shingeldecker used to be 7th and 8th grade coach, first year with me this year. They're all doing a great job. And in the summertime and right now for the next couple of weeks, I have Augustus Nicastro. He's helping us out with our quarterbacks, and he helped Donovan. Him and my son had Donovan all summer. And Augustus got to go back to medical school in a couple of weeks. So I'll be losing him.
Talk to me, too, about being able to coach with your son now and just that kind of relationship. You bring him up through coaching him, too, and then now all of a sudden he's part of your coaching staff. Talk to me about how that just seems like a unique story through that relationship. Talk to me how that relationship is formed and how it is now with him being a coach.
Well, our relationship has always been strong, and I think coaching together has made it stronger. I think this is his future, his career. He's majoring at YSU in kinesiology. He wants to. He does our strength and conditioning already, and he wants to be a strength and conditioning guy, maybe at the higher ranks when he gets done with school. But it's enjoyable at times. It gets a little frisky at home at times, but overall, it's a good relationship.
Is there ever been a time where he was looking at you or he challenged something you thought of when he was a player that he came back to you now as a coach and said, "Dad, you were right"?
Well, yeah, that happens pretty much quite a bit. But he ends up doing it the way that we did it. Even when he was a player, I mean, I can remember in games, he'll come in at halftime and tell us what we should be adjusting to, and believe it or not, majority of times he was right. I mean, the Jack Arvin All-Star game I coached at his senior year, he literally was telling the O lineman and everybody else in the huddle what to do on certain plays. I mean, he's been in the football since he was 7 years old. He was a ball boy, water boy, all the way up, always giving me ideas, and hopefully it pays off for him.
You know, Brookfield has always been known as a team that their identity is you're physical, you're big, you're going to push people around. How have you been able to keep that identity through the years, through all the players that have come through this program, and to maintain that kind of that mystique or have you with the big physical nature that you play with?
Well, I think that's credited to our competitive off-season weight program we have. Everything we do is competitive, and I think it's leadership from the coaches down to our captains, down to our seniors, and they know 18 years here with me. I mean, they know what is expected. So it's nature. I mean, I played here in the late 70s, early 80s, and that's when I played for Del Cerrone, that's what I was taught, and I try to carry that through.
Coach, my final question for you, and more of a spotlight that I'm going to shine on you, more or less. But talk to me and let everybody in the community know why Brookfield is going to be the place to be on Friday night to see this big matchup versus the Tigers.
Well, it's a top-notch game in Division 6. It's going to be a very good game. You're going to see two good teams going at it. I think game can go either way. We're excited. The community is excited, and I don't think there's any other place to be other than at our stadium this Friday.
Before we let you go, talk about the development of football in your program and some of the things that Brookfield does before high school to get these kids ready for when they get to you as freshmen.
Well, I mean, our 7th and 8th grade program is as I told you earlier, we're on the same page with the coaches. The coaches, like 2 of the coaches that used to coach 7th and 8th grade are moved up now, but they're expected. I'm in school every day. I'm not a teacher, but I'm the maintenance supervisor, so I get to see the middle school kids. I get to see the elementary kids. I get to see the high school kids. They also get to see me, and we communicate pretty well on that end. And the thing about it is the players. I do believe they believe in each other and they believe in Brookfield.
As much as you as coaches teach players, we are always told that players teach coaches almost just as much. What kind of things have you learned from your kids and your players over the years that you kind of take and let yourself grow as a coach?
Well, that's a pretty tough question because probably one of the better teams I've had was in 2012 with the Quinlans and my older son and them. And to be honest with you, they're a bunch of jack-offs at practice. But when it came Friday night, they were very good. But they worked hard. They had I credit every year I coach is to our off season. I believe our weight program is second to none. I think our participation for averaging 38 to 40 kids every year and getting probably 33, 34, 35 of those in the off season lifting and being competitive in what we do. I credit everything, my success, all to the off season, to be honest with you.
All right, one more before we let you go. Take us inside a typical Randy Clark game day and what your routine is on a Friday before games and during games.
Well, the thing about it is of course I told you I was a maintenance supervisor, so that means I got to get the field ready. First of all, that's one of my jobs. So I'll be down there lining the field, getting ready on Thursday and Friday. That's about what I do on home games. And away games, I get off work at 2:00. I go home, get a shower, and I go over to the weight room or the coach's office and sit there and watch some film and make sure that we have everything, our I's dotted and our T's crossed, and get ready for the game.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to hear from you. Good luck this week. We definitely hope that you get your 100th win, and when you do, we'll be your biggest cheerleaders.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Coach Randy Clark, head coach of the Brookfield Warriors, joining us after a really big Week 1 win tie over McDonald. They went in there, and they just handed it to the Blue Devils. I mean, I think they took everyone that said that they weren't giving them much of a chance, and they lost too much. They can't be competitive this year, and they kind of, they sent a message to all those people.
Yeah, it was a very good win for Brookfield, as they're going to have to look for another tough matchup here in Springfield, who's going to be coming off of a big Week 1 loss to South Range, and they're going to be pretty upset as well. So can't come in too confident if you're Brookfield, but I mean, if anything of last week was an indication of what's to come, this is going to be a very good matchup on Friday.
Yeah, if this team was anybody except Springfield, I would be worried about them being a little overconfident, maybe looking over a team after winning against a really good McDonald team 35-6. I don't think Springfield is sneaking by anybody. I don't think there's a team in the world that would say, oh, it says Springfield on our schedule.
Yeah, two-time state runner-ups in the last 2 years. I mean, yeah, they're not a team you typically overlook, and you expect them to be in that same picture again this year. So definitely going to be one interesting game, though, because if Brookfield can pull that one off, you raise some eyebrows with a win against McDonald. You beat Springfield. I think you just put the whole MVAC and the whole entirety of Division 6 on notice.
We'll talk about that game a little bit more on Friday, but real quick, what do you think your keys to victory for kind of both? This is a sneaky, interesting game. I mean, I think everyone's talking about the Mooney Hubbard game this week, Boardman, Cheney, things like that. This is kind of under the radar, sneaky, really good game, Brookfield versus Springfield.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the keys for Brookfield, Bo knows football, but you can't let Bo know Brookfield. And you got to make sure that Bo, when he comes into Brookfield, that you have a game plan to stop him, because he is the offensive engine. He's going to make that whole offense go. If you could take Bo out of the game, or if you can limit Bo in the game, you have a chance of victory. You're halfway to victory if you can limit Bo. That's half of the battle. Granted, they have a lot of other weapons there, but so does Brookfield as well. So they are going to have some offensive weapons, and this might be a back and forth punch versus punch matchup. But the biggest thing is, can you contain Bo Brungard? And if they can, at least contain him a little bit, Brookfield has a solid chance of coming away with this one.
I said it earlier. I think the South Range kind of put out the formula. It's hard to execute it. I get it, but the formula is kind of there. Ball control, finish drives, force maybe a couple of turnovers, and you can win that game. And that's going to be Brookfield's. They're all about ball control, so they're gonna control the ball, finish the drives, and hopefully for them force a few turnovers.
The biggest thing Brookfield's looking at is what South Range's offense was able to do to Springfield's defense. They're looking at that. And I think the biggest thing that Springfield needs to be worried about is what Brookfield's defense did to McDonald's offense going into this game.
And I think Brookfield's going to be watching tape of that line. And South Range has real aggressive defensive line linebackers. They attacked that new offensive line of Springfield, and it didn't work out too well for the Tigers. So Brookfield might be looking to be ultra aggressive on the line, maybe send some blitzes, maybe try to disguise some stuff, make these new offensive linemen really think.
And the big thing for Springfield, you're going to need to get a stop or two, because I feel Brookfield is going to be able to match you touchdown for touchdown, and it's going to come down to a stop. The biggest thing is going to come down to that line, though, because as Coach Clark said, their offensive line is pretty good this year in Brookfield, and they have some size there. And we know what McDonald usually brings on the defensive and offensive line year to year. They have a lot of size over there in McDonald. And for McDonald not to really be able to penetrate through that offensive line of Brookfield, that goes to show that's a pretty strong offensive line tandem that they have in front there. And it's going to be tough for Springfield to get any penetration, but I think that's going to be one of the keys for the Tigers going into that game. You're going to need to get penetration on that offensive line.
I just think this is a under-the-radar game. People need to talk about it more. We'll talk about it more on Friday when we do our football, our big football preview. It's going to be a good one in Brookfield. The home opener for Brookfield, Coach Clark going for his 100th win. You can kind of feel the energy in Warrior Town as you go to that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, home opener too, so the excitement's going to be there, coming off of a big victory. And like I said, this is a win that doesn't just put the whole MVAC on notice. It puts all of Division 6 on notice. You're beating a state runner-ups. You might be considered now as the team to beat if you do come away with a huge week 2 victory against the state runner-ups.
Yeah, and when you look at it, man, I like what he said about their weight room and that they take so much pride in their off-season conditioning and weight room lifting program. That's why Brookfield's always been known as the strong physical football team. They're always going to be known as that team that likes to be physical, likes to push you around. You're going to be coming out of the game against Brookfield with some bruises. It's because of their weight room program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, going against a Springfield team that's going to be very tough, you're going to need that extra weight. And I mean, we saw how much it helped against McDonald. That extra weight in the weight room helps out, especially on that offensive line. But there's a couple of big Division 6 matchups, and I mean, you get a big win over McDonald. Granted, Division 7 though is the big thing. Now you're going back to your division, and these are the games you need to win if you're Brookfield. And it was a big win for them against a very good McDonald team. Now you got to play Springfield, and there's also another game looming, I think October 8th, that has a certain Viking, I believe, team that's going to be playing Brookfield. That's going to be another big game to circle. That's going to be Division 6. But I think those are going to be the two games that Brookfield, it's going to depend on how they play against LeBray. It's going to depend on how they play against Springfield to see how far they're going to go in Division 6 this year.
Do you think this is a must-win for Springfield?
For Springfield, it's gonna. I don't want to say must win this early in the season because it's still very early. But I think if Springfield is to lose, if Brookfield pulls off the home opener and with the crowd behind them gets a victory, Springfield starting the season 0-2. I think you start frantically trying to put something together, because then you're looking at it. You're 0-2 to start. The best you can get out of this now is 8-2 if you win out. You're trying to get a good seed in the playoffs to get, and now you're starting to go into panic mode though if you lose. I don't say it's a must win yet, but I think if you lose this one, you're starting to panic a little bit.
That Springfield newsroom, that war room, would be running around trying to find formulas, trying to find something new. I mean, I can't even that's not even in my realm of possibility of coming into the season that Springfield would start 0-2, but here we are.
Well,
a Brookfield team that looks really impressive.
The biggest thing is too, and the biggest part of this, and what makes it kind of why they would panic. You go from Brookfield, say you lose this game, you're 0-2. You're going to face up Division 3 Geneva then the next week, and that's away as well. So you're going to Geneva, a Division 3 opponent, up 3 divisions. Geneva 1-0 already on the season, most likely going to be 2-0. What we expect going into. As they don't, I don't believe, play any YSN school. I don't believe Geneva. I think, Collinwood. I expect them to be too. No, actually, that one's actually been canceled. So actually, no game for them.
Well, that's something to watch then.
That's something to watch then if Geneva. But I mean, that's
here we go again.
I know, right? As I just say it too, as I just find out it's been canceled. But so Geneva having a week of rest now, so that is going to be interesting going into that. But yeah, absolutely. If Springfield comes away and they don't pull off a victory against Brookfield, you're going into this one 0-2 against Geneva. It starts to become a little bit panicky, I think, over there in Springfield.
It's kind of murky a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll have to see if that Geneva game is actually still up, because with the week 2 game being canceled, we'll have to see if it was on Geneva's end or if it was on Collinwood's end. That's going to be interesting going forward.
We'll definitely keep an eye on that as it's a developing story, and let's worry about week 1 first, and then week 2 first, and then we'll venture into week 3 when that bridge comes to fruition. We're going to take a quick timeout. On the other end of this Wednesday edition of Running Point, we will talk to Brian Tolnar, as we always do on Wednesdays, and we'll have a great golf conversation with the golf guru from Mill Creek Metro next on Running Point, YSNLive.com.
Jimmy Sullivan here, director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers, and we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, in cybersecurity, when natural disasters happen, we are there in space. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
My guy keeps it 100% of the time. He wants all 100, won't settle for 99. And it's more than stats, because there's people in those numbers. And I was one of the lost sheep. I'm so glad he cares for all 100. I'm 100% safe, 100% free, 100% loved. I can be 100% me. He gave all 100 when they put him up on that tree. That's 100% passion for 100% free. So if I play in front of 100, or if I play in front of 2, there's an audience of 1 getting 100% of what I can do.
Welcome back to YSN's Running Point on a Wednesday edition, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we have got done with talking to Randy Clark, and we await Brian Tolnar, the golf guru from Mill Creek Park, at 1 o'clock, joining us pretty soon as we wait, Ty. We get closer and closer to week 2. What are some of the things that you're looking for these teams to, they say the biggest improvement week 1 to week 2. What kind of things are you looking for in week 2? And you know what? You can do that thought, and then Brian just popped on. So quickly answer that question.
I think the biggest thing to see is sharper on defense, as we saw a lot of offense in that week 1. A lot of teams, and it was surprised to see a lot of offense. Expect to see a lot sharper defenses in week 2, I think.
So now we welcome in Brian Tolnar to Running Point. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey guys, how are you today?
We're doing so fantastic, and we know that Mill Creek is now in full swing. It's a beautiful day today, a little hot. Talk about some things that have been going on at Mill Creek in the last couple of weeks.
Well, we've got a lot going on. A concert coming up tonight, Easy Street at Wick Recreation Area, followed by Raya the Last Dragon, a family movie night. So these are events that were postponed the last couple weeks, and then we'll conclude our concert series the following week, the country music band. So that not only here at the golf course, but in the Wick Recreation area as well. And, we've got some flag football leagues finishing up. We've got high school golf back at full capacity. So it's been certainly a busy stretch of golf from that aspect. Cardinal High School Invitational just wrapped up on Friday. St. Ed's outlasted everybody here locally and played extremely well. They beat Canfield by 4 shots. You had Boardman coming in third at 315, 303, 307, 315. Nolan Willard from Canfield took home the medalist honors for the event this past week. So it's nice to see a local kid in the mix, and Canfield is playing well. Gavin Hunter from St. Ed's was just edged out in the playoff by Nolan. So, Connor Daggett from Canfield, another round at 74, played extremely well from a high school perspective. And then, filling out Dominic Capix shooting a 76 locally with Austintown Fitch. So a lot of great high school golf going on right now. Excited to see the kickoff of football this past weekend. Got to Lakeview LeBray game. I got a cousin that's coaching over at Lakeview, so to see his opening game was pretty neat last Friday night. And LeBray is just a very, very tough opponent, probably one of the better high school matchups I've seen, and from a depth standpoint, one of the better teams at that division. So a lot of cool things happening.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, talk to me a little bit about, from what you saw out of the local golfers, especially in the high school scene, any new names that you've seen that have really started to break out, and what are some of the big names that you have been seeing over and kind of surprising you early on in the season?
Well, I think, the Daggetts have been synonymous. Him and his brother both play for the Canfield High School team. We knew a little bit about them through the Greatest Golfer, the junior series over the course of the summer. Both of them played well here. Both of them played well at Avalon Lakes and a couple of the other stops that they made throughout the course of the year. So certainly those guys were, on the radar. Dominic Capix from Austintown Fitch has been probably steadier than anybody. But Nolan Willard, sort of to break out of the pack to shoot 73 and beat the guy from St. Ed's. And the golf course conditions last Friday were very, very soft. It was very hot, humid. So condition-wise, from a play perspective, it made it very tough for the kids to play, in the afternoon on Friday evening. But West Lewis played on. You got South Range played Hubbard last night. I think they edged them out. Poland girls golf as well as Cardinal Mooney, who has a co-ed team this year because their numbers are a little bit down from the girls' perspective. But Alyssa Rapp from Cardinal Mooney, although she's playing on the co-ed boys team, I think she'll be a force to be reckoned with come sectionals and districts, because she'll go off and play on the girls' version as an individual. So I think she's got a really good shot. She's made it to state, I want to say, either the last 2 years or last 3 years if it's her senior year, but I believe she's gone state tournament every year that she's been playing high school golf at Cardinal Mooney. So, there's a lot of good play, not only on the boys' side, but the girls' side as well.
Perfect segue, because you brought up Canfield Golf, and they will be part of our coaches' corners at Coco's Pizza tonight. We're going to be talking to Toby Smith from the Canfield football team, Coach Pavlansky, but we'll also be talking Canfield boys golf. Talk a little bit about that program and what you think goes into making it so successful, not just this year, but they've been successful for a while.
You know what? I think with any great program, you've got a couple variables. Both Team Conley with the girls team and Mike Korinsky, who I got to spend some time with this past Friday, spend a lot of time with their kids. They're into coaching for the right reason, and I think when you're in the coaching for the right reason, I think you tend to excel and do a little bit better than the others. It's not a paycheck for you. It's something that you thoroughly enjoy doing. This is his second go around with the boys team. He was around for a number of years, obviously had some kids, some time away, and now that his kids are, to the point where they're out of school, he's back into it. I think, putting the facilities that their school put in over the course of the off season to allow the teams and some middle schoolers coming up the ability to get on a launch monitor and practice indoors, and an indoor putting green, an indoor area where you can hit balls and chip and putt and practice. And I think those are very important if you have athletes that are doing the sport of golf for a 12-month period. So I think, little things like that, I think, are vitally important to continuing to play well. But on the other side, being able to take care of, kids, getting them involved in the game at a younger age, whether it's at that fourth grade, fifth grade, modified level, all the way up through seventh and eighth grade, getting them prepared for their freshman year in high school, I think is a huge advantage. And I think, the depth that both, Dean and Mike have on their starting lineups, I think is vitally important to the long-term success. And, they're in it for the long haul. They're in it for the growth of the game. They're in it for getting kids to participate. They do a lot of things in the off season. We'll be running and be part of a league that basically 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will have the opportunity to play our Par 3 and Pardos during the off season when it's all concluded in October, November until the snow flies. So they're keeping the kids interested. They're keeping the kids focused. And I think anytime that you do that, I think makes your program head and shoulders. It just basically takes it to that next level. And I think, both Dean and Mike do that at Campfield. And I think that's one of the reasons why both of those teams have been successful, not only in the early going, but, through the long course of time. Campfield has had a great golf program back when I played, high school golf, and they've been steady pretty much in and out every year. So I think you have to have the coaches have a vested interest into the program in the long term. And I think with Campfield, you have that.
I know you usually give us your tip of the week, Brian, and we are excited for that later in the segment. But for a little bit of a preview, talk to me a little bit about playing in this type of heat, obviously yesterday and today. What is a tip to golfers, either competitively or casually, when you are playing in such high humidity and heat?
Well, I think there's a couple variables that are involved. Anytime that you have high humidity, a couple things that you have to take account for. Number one, the ball is just not going to fly as thoroughly as it would in a normal condition where the air is not quite as thick. So you're going to lose a little bit of difference. You lose probably about 4 to 5% distance as the rule of thumb. So that may be an extra club in the holes because the air is thick, balls, hydrodynamic to go through the air. So if the air's thicker, it's going to slow the golf ball's distance down quite a bit. And I think probably the most important of anything when you're playing in, whether it be wet conditions or humid conditions where you're dealing with your body perspiring, is making sure that your grips are dry. To keep the grips dry, prevent the club from your hand. And I think that's important if you want to be able to hit those accurate shots. So I think if you do those two things, I think you stay focused. And I think, taking your time. I was always a big proponent of anytime that it was raining, that it was playing, I thought I had a big advantage in the field because half the people in the field are just miserable to the point where, I don't want to get wet. I got to keep my clubs dry, keep grips dry. It just became a hassle. So they really just checked out when it came from a competitive standpoint. I think that the slower that you go when it is raining or you do have high humidity in conditions like we've seen the past week and probably see in next week, is the ability to slow it down, take your time, don't let the heat bother you, don't rain on you, keep the grips dry, and just keep mentally sure, because like I said, a lot of people just check out, when they're playing, when they have bad elements to deal with, whether it's high wind, where you have to hit some knockdown shots, which ironically is our tip this week. And it's raining, dealing with the elements, and these kids, when they have the opportunity to go to sectionals and districts and a state tournament, these are all elements they're going to have to deal with because, when we went down my sophomore year, it was snowing sideways. So, you have to deal with, number one, the cold, the wind, the sleet, sometimes rain, sometimes hail. As it's coming down lightly, you're still out there playing in that. The only time that you really stop is when the golf course is unplayable or there's thunder and lightning. So, you have to be prepared for the elements, especially when it comes to the back half of the year. You want to make sure that you have a good rain suit, you have good waterproof shoes, you make sure that you have, something that keeps you dry from the elements, extra towels in the bag. It may be an extra wet towel to wipe your clubs off, maybe an extra dry towel to wipe your hands off to basically prepare.
All right, it's time to talk about the Bmw Championship and the PGA Tour this weekend and what the course looks like, what these players have to look forward to.
You know what? It is hard to believe that there are two events in the PGA Tour this week. And the Bmw is a championship like North Trust was last week. It rotates all over the United States. Normally in the section of the Midwest, kind of like the Northern Trust. The Coca-Cola is always down in Atlanta. So, the Bmw Championship's going to a new venue this year. It's called Caves Valley Golf Club. It's in Maryland, which is a suburb just outside of Baltimore. So it's an event that's hosted a number of really big time events, but this will be its first go around with the PGA Tour. It's hosted the U.S. Senior Championship, the NCAA men's and women's programs, the U.S. Mid Amateur, LPGA, more recently than the past couple of years, the Constellation Senior Players Championship. So it knows its major championships when it comes to PGA Tour, and to go to a new venue that opened in 1991, which was the year I was a freshman in high school 30 years ago. Hard to believe that I've been out of high school for 30 years looking at some of the notes on this facility. It's a Tom Fazio design. Typical of Tom Fazio design, a lot of sand. He just likes, so be the West Course. If ever had the opportunity to know that West Course, they don't host too many PGA Championships or PGA Tour events. They usually keep them mostly on the South Course. However, they did go to the North Course. They do play the Ohio Senior Open on the West Course, probably the funnest of the three courses up there. So you're going to see a very similar venue this week with Tom Fazio. A lot of sand, a lot of water will come play. Accuracy off the tee is going to be a plus this week. Very tough greens to read. You're going to leave yourself a great opportunity to play well this week. Not very long. One of his keys to his architecture is he doesn't overpower a lot of length from a golf course perspective. So you will see everybody in the field this week have an opportunity to go with the par 5s and 2. They've got a couple drivable par 4s that are reachable by just about everybody in the field if they choose to be aggressive. It's a fun golf course like last week. A lot smaller fairways, so the guys have to be a little bit more accurate off the tee to really contend and do well this week. And I think that the player that hits those fairways will give himself an advantage over the other half of the field now that we're down to 70 players. We'll go from 70 players this week, and then the top 30 will get in the Tour Championship next week in Atlanta.
And now that we've broken down the course, how about your Power 5 and sleepers for players that will have a chance to compete this week?
To be Kent Smith, Matsuyama. Coming off a 6 last week was big to be able to almost go sub 59 there, and I think he's riding a lot of momentum and he's hot at the moment. So I like where he's at. Matsuyama, this golf course is going to put a premium on driving because the fairways, like we spoke of earlier, are a lot smaller. So you have to get a lot of fairways to give yourself opportunities. I think his iron game, the way we're used to Hideki Ding, I think he's definitely one of those guys that we could talk about. Getting in that. Number 5, champion of BMW, being at a different golf course, and that's John Rahm. It's a new course. He's definitely had his A game for the most part of the back open win. And how we, I'm sorry. It's important that top 5 positions, because the top 5 positions really control their own destiny, especially going into next week, whether they win or do well. So John is that for a pretty good reason. Dustin Johnson, it's one of those deals where where's Dustin? He certainly has the length and accuracy off his tee shot to be a candidate, and he certainly showed that he's able to win FedEx Cup playoff events. And I think if he finds some fairways this week, he's certainly good enough with his irons, and if he could get his putter going again, I think he's going to be there at the week 10. Justin Thomas is another one. I think if there was a week pick for him, definitely his week. The Ryder Cup was just yesterday. He's on one of those top 5 automatic spots based on where the are. So he's in, needs to really peak going into the Ryder Cup, come late September. And I think that this could be a very good week for him to kickstart Ryder Cup debut, come September 24th, 25th. Why not now, this week and next week? We'll have a week or two off. And I think if there's a time that he needs to peak and get his game rolling before he needs to see Justin Thomas play, this is certainly the week that could do that. One more, another one that's huge on FedEx Championships. The stage is big for him. He's big. He's won more majors on the PGA Tour than regular tour events. Tee to green, pound for pound. I think he had a lot of success in big stage events. I like him this week. And then my pick for the week, coming in at the number 1 spot, is Jordan Spieth. I think he started to golf a little bit better this past couple of weeks. He's certainly putting better. I think his drive improvement over the last couple of weeks has certainly helped him to speak a lot of fairways. He's one that have gotten better and better the last 3 or 4 weeks in the PGA Tour. I think when you're trending in the right direction, heading in the last 2 of the PGA Tour season, and get to that Ryder Cup, he's looking for a spot on the team. I think that he could give himself some major bonus points with Steve Stricker in making the team heading to September.
I'm gonna go with someone I haven't picked before, and they're 22-1 odds. So I think it'll be a good pick. I'm gonna go with Cameron Smith to win this week. Brian, what do you think about him and his chances to compete this week?
Like him is, he's not too low. I think this is a golf course that keeps it is different. Traditionally we've seen 15, 16 under in come FedEx Cup time. That seems to be the number. Minus the year that Dustin Johnson blew everybody out last year. Shooting 30 under. And I think his ability to go low certainly helps him. His ability to be hot right now, he's certainly in the driver's seat. This year, unlike other years, coming down the stretch in the FedEx Cup, there was always 1 or 2 players that were that upper echelon level. And I think this week, there's so many people that are in the fray. No one's really done anything to really stand out. And I think, his play coming off of last week, shooting as well as he did, could bode well for him this week, heading in as he makes another run to get into that top 30 to make the Coca-Cola Tour Championship, and then, try to run the tables and get it all. But he's hot right now.
Ty, who are you taking?
I've already picked him twice, and I can't stake away from Jordan Spieth. And I mean, I agree everything what Brian said too. And when I picked Jordan Spieth the last 2 times, I'm noticing the improvement in this game, and I think the course is catered to his style of play and what he's good at. So I think this is a course that's made for Jordan Spieth to be pretty high up there by when all is said and done. But I think he could come away with a win.
Jordan Spieth again for Ty. I think his strategy is to pick Jordan Spieth until he wins.
I'm gonna get it. Once I win with Jordan Spieth, we'll go with somebody else. But I know I just have a feeling he's gonna win one of them. He's gonna win one of them.
He's got to win once. Brian, it's time for your tip of the week. Let's dive into what you have for us this week.
We have the knockdown shot, and it's one that we've talked about in the past. Now that we're getting the opportunity to visual on it, I think it's very important. A couple things that you want to think of is, as we head into the season where you do catch a little rain on the PGA last week, where the hurricane Monday, dealing with high winds, you're dealing with rain, you're dealing with conditions, or you may be just dealing with a shot that you hit poorly and hit to a spot that you have to keep flight really low. Set up perspective. Number one, the lie has to be relatively decent. And normally when you're hitting knockdown shots, it's in a spot that may not be, in the most luxurious of spots. So I think, as you're hitting, you have a decent looking lie. So you got to be able to see a good line share of the golf ball to be able to get your club on it. Number 2, you want to make sure this. Keep it, but I have to myself. Down that's because I want to make smaller golf swing. It's not going to hit a ball shot. So about regular golf. So it's a body-driven golf swing. The finish is low. The ball flight is considerably low as well. You have to allow yourself to let that golf ball hit and release a bit. So we'll demonstrate today how we set up for the knock.
And we're losing Brian a little bit with the connection. We apologize for that.
Yeah, I don't know what's been going on. There's been a little bit of a lag, I think, and just like the connection going on right now.
It's the it's the reality of doing streaming remotely like this.
It's the internet gremlins that aren't being nice to us today right now. Yes, we're gonna have to wait, I guess. To try to get
We lost Brian, so we apologize for that. We maybe we'll get 2 tips of the week next week.
We'll have to see what's going on with Brian. We'll have to reach out and see what's going on. Because I mean, we've had it work before too, but
sometimes internet can be gremlin-y.
Yeah,
gremlin-y. Is that a word, gremlin-y?
Yeah, I guess.
It's a word because I said it was. But we apologize and we got most of that pretty clear, but the tip of the week just kind of cut out a little bit there for us.
I don't know. Someone's trying to avoid Brian giving out tips of the week out here.
Someone's trying to.
I don't know. He's trying to sabotage us right now.
Someone's got a lot of money on a golf game.
They don't need Brian giving away any tips.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, Ty. Give us a tip of the week.
Yeah, you want me to give you a golf tip of the week? I am not the person to be giving you a golf.
Didn't say it had to be golf, just anything. What's your tip?
Go off of Coach Bailey. You got to just stay even.
Stay even.
That's my tip for everybody every week.
Ty just loves returning to the wells, whether it be Jordan Spieth or stay even. Just
you gotta go with what works, man. They gotta go with what works. And I mean,
Jordan Spieth hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, he'll work. He's gonna work. Sometimes you gotta have faith too, a little bit.
Got a little faith in Jordan Spieth. We have Brian Tolnar trying to come back, so let's see if we get a good connection with him. Brian, you're back.
Hey, does that work? My screen went blank.
Yeah, okay. We can hear you much clearer this time. We lost you a little bit during the tip of the week segment.
Why don't we just have him? Just start over with the tip of the week if you don't mind, Brian.
Sure. No, that works for me. So we're talking about the tip of the week this week, and we're going to think about all the elements that we talked about on the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour was plagued with some rain, and they had a hurricane come up the coast, so they had a lot of high winds. Something that our golfers will see as they head into the fall here in northeastern Ohio, as the ground gets cooler, or it could be a shot. We're talking about the knockdown shot, or a shot that you could have if you hit it, say in the trees, and you have to keep the golf ball low. So, tip of the week this week is the knockdown shot, where you have to deal with some elements a little bit. Number one, you want to judge the lie. You want to make sure you have a very good lie. You're only going to get a portion of the golf ball, and it has to be relatively clean to pull off the shot that we're looking to do this week. And a nice feature about having this tip is we'll get to be able to see a visual and be able to demonstrate it. So number one, you want to add a club. My normal club for 150 yards is about an 8-iron. So we're going to add a club because we're hitting a knockdown shot. We're going to swing the club at about 60 to 70% of what our power is. The ball's going to come out a little bit lower. The ball, when it hits, is going to release a little bit. So we have to have a little bit of an area where the golf ball can run. It's an upper body driven golf swing. The key in the golf swing is to make sure that you have a low finish. The higher that we finish, the higher that golf ball is going to fly. So we want to keep that in mind. Ball position is going to be no matter what club you're hitting, towards the middle of our stance. A lot of people will make the mistake of moving it too far back, and what happens is the club will come in too steep, allowing the golf ball to launch too high. Again, we want to eliminate a lot of backspin on it. And we want to make sure when that golf ball hits, it's releasing forward. So we want to make sure we add that club. So I'm going to go with the 7-iron in the demonstration today, just to show you what we're talking about. So as we make our golf swing, we're going to be over it. We're going to take the club back probably to about here. My normal swing would be up here. So we're going to take it back a little bit more shallower, a little bit more at 3/4 or 70% of where my normal swing would be, and then release the club down through. Now the key is the follow through. On a good follow through, my position would be here. I'm getting the club above my left shoulder and at my head level, if not a little bit higher. This is going to give you a ton of height. We're trying to knock the golf ball down and hit it a little bit lower. So in order to do that, we want to make sure we're going to take that swing back just a little bit shorter, because here would be my full swing. I'm going to take it back a little bit shorter, and I'm going to follow through a lot shorter. So as I finish my swing will finish here or just a little bit higher, but nothing higher than this right here. Because again, we want that golf ball to come out low, and we want it to come out shooting to where when it hits in front of the green, it's going to run up to the green and get you in a pretty good position. So, a lot of times that we're dealing with wind, it is, a necessity to keep the golf ball underneath, the wind and the conditions and lower from a trajectory standpoint. Or if we have branches that we have to hit it out underneath, we want to make sure that golf ball is coming out low and running to give ourselves the best opportunity to play. So the biggest key is the finish, making sure our finish is here or just a little bit higher, anywhere here. It's just going to be a 60 to 70% golf swing. It's not going to be your full power. You want the ball to be able to hit and release. And because we're adding a club, we don't want to swing too hard. So ball position in the middle, ball flight lower, running into the hole. That's going to give yourself the opportunity to keep it out of adverse conditions, whether that's rain, whether that's wind, or if you're just trying to hit it under a tree branch. But we want to make sure that we keep the trajectory very, very low.
Yeah, before we let you go, we have one more thing to wrap up, because Dana Ballish, our friend down at 21, had a pretty good putt for birdie over the weekend that we got to see on Twitter. We tagged you in it. We wanted a breakdown of it, and you said you would be obliged. So can you break down that shot and that birdie and some of the things that our buddy Dana did so well?
Absolutely. His stroke was very good, and it was a putt that lasted, I think the clip was about 13 seconds, but when he struck the putt, it was a putt it took him 10 seconds to get the putt there. So you could almost say it's maybe 30 feet, 35 feet. So when you're knocking in a bomb anywhere on the green, I think it's vital to, number one, to have the feel with your arms and shoulders. Number two, to keep your head steady. So we want to keep our head over the ball. We don't want to have our head moving off the ball one way or the other. And I think Dana did a really good job of that. The finish was good. He got it down the line. He gave himself enough speed to get there. The biggest thing that I can remember from high school golf was we always had a coach saying, never up, never in. If you couldn't get the golf ball to the hole, it never had a chance to go in. So he gave himself enough speed to get the putt there. The only thing I will critique on that is his finish with his fist pump. We'd like to see that just a little bit higher.
There you go.
The shoulder a little bit. I think if we could do that, you put the prominence on knocking in a bomb from 30 feet. So, fist pump could be a little bit higher, but the putting stroke itself was exceptional. Dana did a great job knocking it in.
And we thank you too, Brian, for always joining us in. And we were happy to be able to get in the tip of the week. The golf gremlins tried to shut you out and prevent you, but YSN said no way, as we were able to get Brian back on and get that helpful tip of the week too, as also getting that breakdown too, as we were so happy to get that breakdown of Dana Ballish's shot as well.
He's solid. I played a lot of golf with his dad when I was a kid at Hubbard Golf Course, so it's in the genes.
Okay, well, one more thing too before we let you go, because you are a Hubbard alum, and they had a big win, and I know you were happy about it. What do you think about Hubbard football and their chances this year?
I'll tell you what, they look pretty good. They obviously lost their defensive coordinator, Sam Bellino, to Lakeview, which is a cousin in our family. So he's down a little bit there, but I think they had a lot of the folks step up. Is it Caffey or Chafee? I can't remember what the back
Caffey, yeah.
He put up a monster number last week. Very LJ Scott-like, if you know Hubbard football, back when they were, at the powerhouse stages. He's putting up likewise numbers. I think that they're going to beat Mooney this week, and I think they're going to beat them by 14 or 20 points. I think they look that good.
We're gonna add that into our Friday picks.
We got our Friday pick from Brian Tolnar too. I mean, tips of the week and picks of the week from Brian Tolnar now. As we got our first pick here on YSN.
Brian, thank you
that's
so
a game
much.
that you don't often see in the regular season. You'll see Hubbard and Mooney play in the playoffs, but you seldom see them playing in the regular season. You'd have to go back to probably the Steel Valley days.
Another big week 2 matchup on the docket for YSN.
So many of them. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today. We love our weekly chats, and we look forward to next week what you bring.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
Brian Tolnar, golf guru at Mill Creek Metro. Like you said, the internet gremlins tried to stop us, and Brian and YSN said,
yeah,
not so fast.
And you just love talking with Brian too. I mean, talk about a guy that could just get you excited to play the game of golf too. I mean, so passionate and so entrenched and so knowledgeable into the sport to be able to literally talk you through anything. I mean, he's really someone that can get you excited to get out there and swing a club a couple of times too. He certainly gets me excited to go out there, and I am terrible at golf, and I want to go out there and play golf after talking with Brian.
I'll play disc golf.
There you go. That would be something awesome. If we could get a tip of the week from Brian for disc golf too, we need to do a disc golf.
What if we had a disc golf like
a good, really good disc golf?
A disc golf elite disc golfer come on with Brian and do
that
like
would be amazing. Break it down. 2 get tips of the week. 2 golf tips of the week.
Oh, here's your disc golf tip of the week.
Disc golf and regular golf.
I didn't know that there were there's a set of discs. Like there's a disc for all these different. Like my brother does it, and I went over to his house once. And I was like, I thought you just threw one frisbee. No.
Yeah, there's
there's a driver, there's a wood, there's an iron disc.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as having clubs. It's just discs instead.
And at first I was like, what could be the difference? But now the weight's different, the aerodynamics are different.
They're designed to fly. Some are designed to drop.
And then
too. I mean,
I did some research about how much money some of these discs can be, and I go, whoa, okay.
It's like regular golf too. If you want a good set of golf clubs too, I mean, it's a pricey sport, but I mean, it's a sport that you can get a lot out of if you do invest into it.
If you thought disc golf was like the cheap, hobby version of golf.
No, not at all. If you want to get into it, anything that has golf into it, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to get the equipment you need. But I mean, like I said, what you get out of the sport too, and these people that are really passionate about the sport, what they've gotten out of it, years and years and years of just so much experience that they wouldn't take back for the world. So I mean, what you invest in golf is really what you get out of it.
Disc golf is making bank. I'll tell you that.
I'm sure they are. I mean, all of golf, I think, is as well. But
funny story. We were because the last week the PGA had to be postponed because of the hurricane. I didn't know. I wasn't keeping up on hurricane status and where so I'm sitting there with my dad who loves to watch golf. We turned it on Sunday, and we watched it for at least 45 minutes before we realized it was a replay of 2019. It wasn't even live golf.
And your dad, who loves golf, is watching it like it's happening right now. Yeah, you waited until Brian got off the air to say that.
I didn't want it. I didn't want to look bad. Whoa. But we were sitting there like, man, and then we're like, wait a minute. This is 2019. Oh no. We didn't know. We didn't know that the hurricane was up, and we just we watch golf on Sundays, and we're over there. We turned it on. Oh, look, golf's on, and we're watching it for like a half an hour, and then we realize this isn't even live.
Yeah, I remember getting an update about it, but that's all I really heard about it. I didn't go through any follow-through stories. I just heard the initial news that it was going to be postponed.
So I was definitely not going to tell Brian Tolnar that. I would have been judged, and next week it would have been like
the tip of the week for Anthony to watch
more golf.
Year. Yeah, watch golf from actually this year. That's
classic golf is legit. Let's go. Oh man, my mom hates it when I turn on I'll turn on old football games or old basketball games, and she'll go, "Is this a real game?"
Well, a real game. It doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist after it's already been played.
That's how she describes it.
It fades off into existence.
Is this a real game? Yeah, it's real. It's old, but it's real. Oh man, we're going to take a quick time out. On the other end, we will continue our Wednesday edition of Running Point. Don't forget, at 2:30, we have the head coach of Newton Falls Volleyball, Christina Baker, joining us. And Scotty will also join us pretty soon to talk a couple of topics and also try to stump Ty with some trivia. So we'll be right back on ysnlive.com. Don't go anywhere. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Custom order your Ford your way at Tri-State Ford. Choose the available features that fit your life and style, from the all-new 2022 Ford Maverick F-150 Lightning through the entire Ford lineup. Pick your color, trim level, and options. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. Start your custom order today. Stop in or visit tristateford.net. Customer-focused, community-driven. Tri-State Ford, East Liverpool.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. If we don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Anthony Hartwig with you alongside Ty Bartell. As we are in a Wednesday edition, we are approaching The 2 o'clock hour, I want to remind everybody, because we just heard from Boardman Mitsubishi, that the comment section is live, brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi. So whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, you can comment and we will see it. We would love to hear from you. Also, the fan line is open, 330-886-0813. We would love to hear from you and what you want to talk about. And Ty, we have some exciting news. We have officially hit a landing destination for YSN Primetime tomorrow night. We are heading to Cheney for Boardman at Cheney. It's going to be a fun one as Coach Emil squares up with Coach Antrim and the Spartans, and we're excited to be there tomorrow night for YSN Primetime.
It'll be an exciting matchup, I think, too, between two area teams. Boardman coming off of a big win against Mooney, and obviously Cheney getting a little bit shell-shocked in that game against Fitch. Going to come in with a much stronger game plan, and you obviously don't expect Cheney to have the same unfortunate mishappenings to happen again 2 games in a row. So Cheney, look for them to be a lot better and a lot sharper, I think, this week. I think this is going to be a good matchup, and I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Boardman, especially going to a home opener for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it'll be the first matchup where the Cheney's backup will be prepared for a game, have the full practice of preparation, and we're going to see really what he's got.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think going into this game, it's really going to be huge for J.R. Tellington, I think, in this game, because Tellington is going to be primarily going to be the offensive weapon now, as he's your primary back, and then you have Jace Austin Emil too as your second back. These two are going to be carrying a lot of the offense going forward, and Andrew Galt is going to have to take over as quarterback, as he started getting sharper too in that game against Fitch towards the second half. He was making his throws, completing his throws, just a couple of drop passes. But I think going into this game, you're going to see Galt be a lot sharper. And with J.R. Tellington and Jace Austin Emil, that's 2 backs you're going to have to account for if you're the Spartans. It's going to be a tough matchup, but definitely I think going to be a good matchup between Boardman and Cheney this week.
Yeah, we saw Boardman's defense really impressed last week. They're going to be gearing up to do the same thing, looking like a team that's going to hang their hat on defense. So for a Cheney team that's trying to kind of come up with new strategies, new people to step up, you're going up against one of the best defensive performances from week 1 in Boardman. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to all be dependent on for Boardman as just that defense going into this game, because it's going to be stopping the run, and if they can stop the run, if they can contain the run, Boardman has a great chance at winning. Already opening up with a victory against a familiar Steel Valley foe and Cardinal Mooney, it would be pretty good for Boardman on their list if they could go in and win 2 straight against the Steel Valley Conference.
I'm sorry, I decided to just lean over, say, now that you're squared up, I can't see you. I like making eye contact. So
no, you're fine. I wanted to create a little bit of room for when we have Scotty join us too. So I don't want to
look at that. Being considerate of your opponent.
That's my opponent. Yeah, just try to do the best I can for Scotty.
I want to point out that off the air before the show, I did stump Ty. So we're not counting it, but I did.
We're not counting it, but you also did a loaded question that made me have to answer it was a 9-parter question.
And in full disclosure, I didn't know all the answers.
Yeah, Anthony didn't even know all the answers. He just gave me a 9-parter question that he didn't know the answer of. I got like 6 of them, I think. I think I got 6 out of the 9 parts correct.
At least you admitted there the one that I knew you wouldn't have gotten. So
yeah, I did admit the one I did know.
Oh man, we have fun. We have fun on Running Point.
We have a good time.
We want to hear from you once again. The comment section live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. When you look at this first week of high school sports, soccer in full swing now, volleyball in full swing, football getting into week 2. What kind of things are you taking away from? We're seeing teams get a little bit back to normal. Everyone's getting back to school. A lot of schools start yesterday, and now we're starting to see normal crowds. A sense of normalcy a little bit back to these athletes. And I know we haven't had too many games to take it in, but have you seen any effects already of the crowds, the normalcy routine in summer? Have you seen any things that are glaringly different from last year to this year already in the few games that we've been able to kind of go to?
Oh, absolutely. Crowd energy and student fans energy, and having the student section is huge. It's been huge for football, for volleyball, and for soccer as well. Having good crowds on hand is really what matters, I think, for these athletes, and it really fuels them. It gets them excited. It gets them wanting to play the sport. Unfortunately, I don't know. I hope that we are going to continue to have these full crowds in capacity for these sports going forward, but you never know. Right now, we still have a dark cloud that's looming over us. We're just hoping that it doesn't rain, as we still continue to knock on wood here, as inevitably there's been more cancellations that we had, not with YSN, but more cancellations that we know of, as we heard about Geneva and Collinwood getting canceled as well. So a little bit of games outside of the YSN banner, but still nonetheless games that have been canceled after just 1 week of college or high school football, excuse me.
And, we have to get to some soccer results. We had a lot of boys in action last night, as we will go through these scores here for you. Girard traveled to Badger, and Girard won 3-0 in that game. You look at Brookfield, they hosted LeBray, and LeBray and Brookfield tied at 2. You look at Canfield, and they hosted Alliance. These are all boys games, by the way. Canfield hosted Alliance, and that one ended in a 1-1 tie as well. Crestview hosted Champion, and Crestview won 6-1. You look at Middle Ridge, they hosted Garfield, and they lost 4-0. I'm sorry, they traveled to Garfield. Hubbard went to Howland, and Howland won 4-0. And that's one of the, Howland, right back to where they started. 4-0 win over Hubbard. The reigning state champions get the first win of the season. Salem bounces back after their loss to United. They beat Niles 6-0. Waterloo hosted Newton Falls, and they did not finish, so they don't have a final score for that game. One girls game, Brookfield hosted Lordstown, and the Warriors came away with a 5-3 win in that game. So those are some soccer scores, some takeaways. We saw Salem bounce back. They lost against United on Saturday. They're able to bounce back with a big win, 6-0 at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Howland doing what we expected Howland to do. But I mean, it's nice seeing the soccer getting into full swing as well within the area, and seeing some decent attendance at these games, as we hope for those that go up. We're still looking at you, Bo, over there in Springfield, to make sure that those girls' games get packed and loaded to the brim as well. But nonetheless, I think going into this year, I think everyone's just excited to have sports back.
Yeah, well, Springfield's home opener. I'm going to look it up because Bo, we're not letting you off the hook, bud. No. Trying to pull up their home opener right now to see. We'll keep an eye on that. We're gonna keep you to your word, Bo.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna make sure that game gets a decent crowd on it, or at least a game gets a decent crowd on it. We're gonna hold him accountable.
Definitely the student section crowd. I mean, because he's responsible.
Yeah,
for also a theme. There's got to, those girls said that he promised a theme for every game. So we're gonna look for it. Let's see. You look at their girls soccer schedule, and looks like they are home on Wednesday, September 1st against Waterloo.
It'll be
so that
opener.
Clock's ticking, Bo.
Yep, for sure.
Clock's ticking, bud.
Only a week away.
Of course, we're talking about Bo Snyder, the Springfield football player, not Bo Bungard. There gotta be a little bit.
There's a couple.
Gotta be specific. There's a couple of Bo's. So, we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, you're right. Crowds have been kind of in volleyball too. I've been to 3 games now. The crowds have been elevated. There was definitely a student presence at South Range on Monday. Definitely a student presence at Girard last night for both teams. I mean, that place was pretty loaded for a volleyball game. There was a decent amount of people there. Obviously, it was a big matchup in the NE8, so everyone kind of understood that and came out. And then where was I Saturday? Crestview always has great fans for volleyball. I remember the first game we did there last year during COVID where it was limited fans. They had so many people in the JV game that they had to clear out the JV game and then let varsity fans in. So Crestview does not disappoint with crowds. They looked good. What the crowd look like at Struthers was a really good crowd, right? Both teams brought some pretty good energy.
I mean, for what was there, yeah, they were both very loud. Both sides were very loud, and they made sure that their voices were known. I mean, Struthers is a big field house, and they could definitely fit more, and there could definitely be bigger crowds on hand at Struthers. But the ones that were there, they were loud, and they were rocking on Tuesday night.
That's the thing about the field house. I mean, you can have a decent amount of people there, but it's all really easy to spread out. So even a decent amount of people can look like there's not too many people there. So don't be deceived by camera views if you're going to Struthers or if you're watching a Struthers broadcast, because they do get good crowd attendance. Sometimes they just decide to spread out a little bit.
Yeah, especially with how big the field house is. There's all those seats down low, and then there's the big bleachers up ahead.
Hey, he's sneaking up behind you.
Yeah,
I see him.
Like the Grim Reaper.
Let me get you a scythe, Scotty. What side are you going to? You going to the Ty's?
I guess that's
Ty's left. My right. Man, I have to get used to that for volleyball because like it's my right, but it's the team's left. So I have to be like it's on the left side of their offense, but it's my right.
I like the Tennessee year.
Thank you. Tennessee softball, always be supporting those guys.
Yeah.
Good people in the Tennessee softball program.
I'd like to see their football program get turned around too.
Well, that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Good old Rocky Top, Scotty. Okay, you are coming in, and you're here for about a half an hour before we talk to Newton Falls head coach of the volleyball program in Christina Baker. Scotty, every week you bring us some gems to talk about. Well, what's something you want to talk about this week, bud?
Well, first off, very quickly, Dave just gave me a mini panic attack. Putting a full bottle of water right next to my computer. So I really hope it doesn't spill over. But I
didn't put a lid on that either.
I was, no cap.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm just so much anxiety.
I'm nervous right now looking at it.
But I wanted to pick your guys' brain. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but ESPN came out with early power rankings for the NFL as the regular season is just a couple of weeks away now. They have the Chiefs number 1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number 2, the Buffalo Bills number 3, Green Bay at number 4, Los Angeles Rams coming in at number 5, Baltimore Ravens 6, my Cleveland Brownies at 7, the Seattle Seahawks 8, Tennessee Titans 9, San Francisco 49ers 10, and rounding out the top 15, you have the Steelers right behind the 49ers at 11, Dallas at 12, you have Arizona at 13, Indianapolis 14, and LA 15. Now, just of those teams we went through, when you're just looking at the top 10 rankings, Anthony, I have a question for you, and I want Ty to chime in on this as well. Taking your bias out of it, if you can. I know that's hard as a fan. But just looking at, if you were an outsider, if you weren't a Kansas City Chiefs fan, knowing that the Bucs brought everybody back and they have a guy who still played at a top 3 to 5 level at quarterback at the end of the year last season in Tom Brady, knowing that they returned everybody and knowing that the Chiefs on paper upgraded their offensive line, but it's still new. It still might take some time for continuity there. So do you think the Chiefs should be ranked number one ahead of the Buccaneers coming off that title? Anthony, you first, and then I want Ty's thoughts on this.
I can't see any rational reasons why they're number one, to be honest, because you said it. The Bucs spanked them in the Super Bowl, and they returned everybody. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, good, we're number one. But I think it's the flash. Everyone loves Patrick Mahomes. Everyone knows that offense is so strong. I think everyone kind of agrees that even though the Bucs destroyed the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, kind of an anomaly a little bit because their offensive line was put together with duct tape with a couple of injuries. But I still, like I said, they beat them handedly. I think it was 31-9. I've wiped it from my memory a little bit, but I believe it was 31-9. When you do that to a team, you return everybody, and then you blow them in the rankings to start the next season. The Chiefs did improve their offensive line, maybe, but we don't really know because there's a lot of unknowns. I don't know. Rationally, I can't think of any reasons why. Like the Chiefs didn't make any major upgrades all of a sudden where they have the superstar come to add to their team. Both teams return almost everybody from last year, and they split last season. But Tampa Bay, won the most important one. Don't really. I don't know. Do you see any rational reason why the Chiefs would be ahead of Tampa Bay?
The way I see it, regular season is regular season. Those are anybody's games. You're trying to game plan for the playoffs. Playoffs are the games that really matter. And right now, Patrick Mahomes is 0-2 against Tom Brady in the playoffs. And that is your daddy until you beat him. And until you beat him, he should be ranked. His team should be ranked above Patty Mahomes until Patty Mahomes can knock him out of the playoffs.
That's fair. Scotty, you have to have some thoughts on it. You brought it up.
Yeah, I do. I think the Bucs on paper, just on paper, overall, if you just look at every single position, I think they have a little more talent than the Chiefs do, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. But the reason why I think the Chiefs are number one, and, you could, really rationalize them being number one, in my opinion, is because Patrick Mahomes is so great. And I know Brady won it when it mostly mattered, but you said it, Anthony. At that time last year, the Chiefs' offensive line was just a hot mess. Mahomes had no protection, and the Bucs were able to use the great players they had and really neutralize a guy like Tyreek Hill. But I think Mahomes is so great, and because the quarterback is the most important position in football, I think that's why the Chiefs are number one, because I think a lot of people, and yourself is probably included into this, Anthony, a lot of people believe that Patrick Mahomes' best football is still ahead of him. There's plenty of people I've heard talk that despite the great things he's done already in his career, there's plenty of people I've heard talk that say they believe he hasn't even reached his ceiling yet. And it's one of those things where Michael Jordan said the ceiling is the roof, or however he put it, with the 90s Bulls. So I think a lot of people think Mahomes is just going to get that much better. And that's the only reason why I could see them putting the Chiefs ahead of the Bucs. Because, again, how much longer could Tom Brady do this? I know he's not human, but, they say father time is undefeated, so eventually it's going to catch up to him, right, guys?
Yeah, you would think too, but I feel like until it does, you have to crown him king of the mountain, right? until that happens.
This makes me mad as a Chiefs fan because it's like, great, one more thing that Tom Brady's pissed off about. You
Yeah,
know?
and that's exactly what
like,
you don't want to do is give Tom Brady anything to be mad about going into this season.
The Bucs earned that number one spot for the preseason, in my opinion, with the way they played in the Super Bowl. You know, you can say that the Chiefs' offensive line was put together with duct tape all you want, but yeah, I don't think it was a 31-9 advantage for the Bucs. I feel like they earned that win. Their offense was prolific. You know, Tom Brady did what Tom Brady always does. He dinked and dunked his way down the field consistently, and he, like I said, he's returning everybody. They didn't lose any big pieces. I don't see any reason why they're not number one.
A question for you, and then I wanted to dive a little bit more into these power rankings. I guess a question for both of you guys, Ty and Anthony, kind of going back to what I said a few moments ago. Everybody agrees. I think it's the general consensus that Patrick Mahomes he's not only good, he's great. And mostly everybody agrees that even though most people would say Tom Brady is the GOAT all time, I think just about everybody thinks Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in football right now, today. But do you guys, and I'm not saying he still can't win another 2-3 Super Bowls or even more and more MVPs, but do you guys think Mahomes has already reached his ceiling, or do you think he could be even better? Anthony, you start.
Well, I hope not, because, I mean, you look at Tom Brady, he's still not reached his ceiling. He's still doing things better than, I mean, obviously there are some things that he could do better when he was younger, but he's still, every year, if you're great, if you're elite, every year you're getting better at something. And Patrick Mahomes has said it in his press conferences. There are things he wants to get better at. There's things that he wants to still learn. You know, the intricacies of reading defenses at the line of scrimmage, things like that. Like the tools are all there. All the physical attributes of Patrick Mahomes have just been on display for the last 2 years. Now you start to, I think he's going to start to grow in his, you know, the finesse of being a quarterback in the NFL and the intricacies and the really the smart IQ things that he's going to grow in as he gets more and more experience in the league. Because, you know, like I said, if you're elite, you're never going to be stopped. You're never going to hit your ceiling. Or if you hit your ceiling, then you stop being elite. Is right. I mean, so if Patrick Mahomes has reached his ceiling, then he's going to be, you know, do we still talk about him in 3 or 4 years as being as good as he was in the first three? I don't know. You got to keep getting better. I don't think he's reached his ceiling. I think there are a lot of things he can get better at when you talk about the intricacies of football and reading things at the line and things like that. You know, we've seen him dazzle with the physical stuff, you know, making throws while he's parallel to the ground 30 yards down the field to hit Tyreek Hill in the face mask. But, you know, I think the intricacies of football can still be grown in.
Ty, your thoughts?
My question for you, though, first, Scotty, just to get clarification. For ceiling, do you mean like as far as his talent level goes, or as far as like them being a championship team, like winning more championships?
No, I think just like I do with the Browns. I mean, I know Mahomes is clearly the better quarterback over Baker Mayfield, but I think as far as them winning more championships, they got what they need, and they have a good enough defense because that offense is so explosive that they have a good enough defense, I think, to continue to win Super Bowls. So I don't necessarily mean them winning championships, because I think that Patrick Mahomes, if he didn't improve at all from last season, if he just played how he did all of last year, the Chiefs are still going to be right there in the end and have a chance of winning it. I was thinking more along the lines, do you think he himself, do you think he's kind of reached his ceiling and he'll always be, this great quarterback, but maybe he won't be in the discussion for the GOAT down the line.
I think for him to be in that discussion for the GOAT, and if we're not equating championships to success, which is fair, if we're going off of personal skill, I already think throwing the ball wise, throwing the ball on the run, accuracy, I already think Patrick Mahomes is taking the cake skill wise, but that's not what it takes to be in the GOAT. And I think where Patrick Mahomes doesn't or hasn't reached his ceiling yet, and where he has still a lot of potential is a thing we don't talk about a lot, and it's not something that goes into record books and goes into stat categories. It's intestinal fortitude. And it's that being able to will and drive your team to victory even when all the odds are stacked against you. No, hey, wait. Do I think Patrick Mahomes is capable of doing that?
Were they down in the first Super Bowl? By a lot in the first
quarter? They were against a very different team, though. They were against Jimmy Garoppolo, Anthony.
But the Patrick Mahomes didn't play Jimmy Garoppolo. He played a really good San Francisco defense.
The Chiefs had a cupcake offense with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. They had the defense.
Come on. I mean, in Jimmy
they were down
G's,
24-0 to Houston, too.
In Jimmy G's defense, though, Ty, I mean, I know it's rare because it seems like he's made of glass and he's never healthy. But when he's healthy, the 49ers always win. It can't just be because the players he's got around them. I mean,
he was one throw away.
I don't think he's a scrub.
Wait.
One throw away from winning that Super Bowl.
Russell Wilson has won Super Bowl. He's been to 2. He's lost 1. He's had a great comeback over the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and a much more prolific offense and defense in the Packers. Do we consider Russell Wilson to be in the GOAT category right now?
If he ended his career, he'd be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not discussing. I am not disputing Patrick Mahomes being in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
A GOAT category is a different type of breed. So do we consider Russell Wilson because those all sound very similar to me to what Patty Mahomes has already done?
I'm just saying one of the things that you said about Patrick Mahomes is he needs to prove that he can drive his team to win when the odds are against him. And I'm saying every playoff win in the last in his Super Bowl run, they had to come back. They came back against the Titans, came back against the Houston Texans, and they came back against the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they didn't have those comebacks in that run, and they did.
I think we're both agreeing. We just think that they're different. I think the things he has to improve on are the intricacies of football, making changes at the line, reading defenses, things like that. You're saying I just don't agree with.
I think it's a mental thing.
I think he's proven his ability to will his team to victory.
I think he needs to prove that he can will his team to victory, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that this season. I don't think it's something he's going to be able to do the next few seasons because he has an elite top 5 receiver in Tyreek Hill and the best tight end in the league in Travis Kelce as weapons right now. And I'm not saying that Tom Brady wasn't brought up with weapons. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not talking that Randy Moss didn't come to New England. I'm saying that weapons that Tom Brady had.
You won't be satisfied with that Patrick Mahomes discussion until he has to move past Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
He needs to be great generationally. He can't just be great for a couple of seasons with a couple of very great players. He needs to be great and transcendent among generations of players.
There's your statement right there, but that has something to do with willing your team to victory. Like he's already proven he can do that.
He needs to be willing a team to victory is different because a team is always constantly changing. As what I'm saying, okay. He has still these pieces. I want to see these pieces be interchanged. He needs to be great and transcendent generationally with a different receiver core, a different tight end group that he's going to get. He's not always going to have Kelce. He's not always going to have Hill. When he can prove that he himself can come back. Because right now, you look at those comeback wins. How big of a part was Kelce? How big of a part was Tyreek Hill in willing those comeback wins? You have the fastest guy in the NFL at your receiver, and you have the most unstoppable tight end right now in the league. I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes is not great. I still, like I said, skill-wise, I think he's hands down the best quarterback in the NFL from accuracy standpoint, throwing on the run standpoint, and throwing power standpoint. I'm just saying, as far as being able to play with different groups of talent, and we're not going to see that. That's why it's unfair to put him in a GOAT discussion right now until we see him with other groups of players.
I don't even think Scotty thinks that he's in a GOAT category right now.
Yeah, has he reached his ceiling? No, I don't think he has reached his ceiling at all, and I think there's still more to be.
I don't even think right now, if he ended his career right now, he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Like for me, longevity means a lot. Russell Wilson's the Hall of Fame because he's been doing it for a long time. You've been doing it for 3 years. Like, I get that you've had a better 3 years than most people have ever had in their career, but it's still only 3 years. Like, let's see you have longevity.
I mean, another one to go back to. I remember Aaron Rodgers. Remember when Aaron Rodgers beat Pittsburgh, won that Super Bowl? That looked like Aaron Rodgers was about to go off and win a couple of Super Bowls, and they were talking him as being, this might be the greatest of all time right now. And they were talking him, putting him with Brady, putting him with Manning. Not that Aaron Rodgers isn't in the Hall of Fame, because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, 100% of the time right now, but he is nowhere near the GOAT category, I think, right now either.
Scotty, let's get you in this conversation.
Well, first off, though, I got a question I'm going to ask you. Yeah, like how many, because to ask Pat Mahomes to win 6 more Super Bowls and that would just equal what Tom Brady has done. I mean, that is asking an awful lot. So, I mean, in your guys' opinion, like, I'm just throwing this out there. Say Mahomes doesn't win 7, but he wins 5, or even if he only won 4. Say he gets 3 more in his career, but he just is a freak. He obliterates every passing record, every record out there, but he's a couple short of Brady. Don't you guys feel like it kind of falls into the NBA category argument, like the LeBron, Michael Jordan argument, where there's always going to be a younger generation saying LeBron's the GOAT, and then the older generation is always going to say Tom Brady? So it's
the
just
difference.
like
The difference is we've been
preference.
able to see these two play each other. We never saw LeBron in his prime play Tom in his prime. Like, we saw Tom Brady go to Arrowhead, beat Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead in a shootout. We've seen Patrick Mahomes beat Tom Brady in regular season. I get your point, Ty. Regular season is different, but Mahomes has beaten a Tom Brady team, and then we saw Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. So right now, he's not there yet, obviously, because he's 0-2 in the playoffs, as Ty said at the beginning of this whole conversation. You don't have a LeBron versus Michael Jordan matchup. These are just like throwing out ideas. It's all hypothetical, which is what I don't like about that conversation, because it's all hypotheticals. Like, there's no way to really quantitative say, they both were on the court and we're going to find out who's the better player.
In Mahomes' defense, though, Anthony, I'll say this, and then I want to get a final thought on the power rankings before we go into the questions for Ty. But using a guy from the past, like a Bernie Kosar, just about everybody considered him a great quarterback, but nobody considers him a Hall of Famer because he never won the big game or multiple big games. But it wasn't his fault that John Elway drove the Broncos 98 yards in that playoff game, because he gave them the lead before that. Prior to that, it also wasn't Kosar's fault that Ernest Biner fumbled the following year. And like you said, Anthony, he's 0-2 against Brady when it matters most.
I could sit here and say
D Ford jumped off sides.
I knew you were going there.
If D Ford doesn't jump off sides, he beats
I knew you were
Brady.
going there, Scotty. And here's what I'm going to say to that. Patrick Mahomes was shut out in the first half. Didn't score a single point. And that defense held Tom Brady to 14. If Patrick Mahomes does what he's been doing all regular season that year, Chiefs are up 28-14 at halftime, and they probably win that game. So D Ford jumped off sides, but Patrick Mahomes had his own hand in that loss too. He missed a wide open streaking Damian Williams for a touchdown early in that game that might have sent him momentum. So D Ford stepped off sides, and that sucked, and because it was magnified as the Chiefs had a game-winning interception pulled back. At the same time, like Patrick Mahomes and that offense also have a stake in that loss.
I get it. And
and I'm sure if you ask Bernie Kosar in those games, he's going to say there were plays I could have made that not put us in those situations. And it's that simple. The football game played for 4 quarters. Yeah, and not one play, not one drive wins or loses the game.
Ty, anything else to add before I do want to get into one more thing about the power rankings, and then I have questions for you, Ty, but anything else to add to that?
I mean, honestly, not really. I mean, yeah, I think when it comes down to Patty Mahomes, I mean, it's going to be a wait and see game. I do think he's going to need to win at least one more to be considered GOAT talk. I do think you should have at least 2 Super Bowls under your belt, because I just don't think a GOAT can have 1 Super Bowl and be considered it, because there's plenty of teams and plenty of guys that have a Super Bowl under their belt. Not many have 2 or more.
I'm saying this, and it would break my heart, but what if he went to like 7 and only won 1?
Maybe, maybe, but then you're looking at the biggest choker in history. Then if he can't pull it off 7 times and 1 more time,
I mean, that's kind of like not to the extent, because LeBron won a couple, but LeBron went to 8 straight, but he lost a lot of those. But he still went to 8 straight. That's more than.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you this. I'll give you this. You know what? I'll say it right here. I'll consider, if Patrick Mahomes does what LeBron did in the NBA, I'll consider Patty Mahomes the GOAT. If Patrick Mahomes goes to 10 Super Bowls and goes 4 for 6, doing the same thing he's been doing his whole career, yeah, I'll consider him the GOAT easily.
What if he only goes 2 for 8? But
if he goes 2 for 8, yeah, you know what? That's still 8 Super Bowls. That's still 8 Super Bowls.
I think at that point you have to dive into the Super Bowls and say why they lost.
Yeah, it depends on how they lost. Like if he's playing like trash, maybe. Right. Maybe. If he's like if he's got under 200 yards, 3 picks in these Super Bowls, then I'm like, all right, yeah, he's not the GOAT. But if he's doing like what Tom Brady did against the Eagles and losing, that's hard to discount that kind of performance even in a defeat.
All right, Scotty, these power rankings, and I got to tell you one thing that pops out to me is, hey, people are high on Dallas again. Can we stop with the Dallas? Dallas sucks.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, again, on paper, they're loaded offensively. And if Dak is healthy, I'm in the camp. I think Dak's
you've drunk the Dallas Kool-Aid, haven't you?
But no, let me finish, Anthony. Okay. Let me finish. You're not letting me. That defense, hot garbage. Okay. So until they fix that defense, I don't see why people are so bullish on the Cowboys. But real quick, I wanted to run through, and I'm going to go start from the bottom, rounding out the top 10 through 1. Again, 10 San Francisco, 9 Tennessee, 8 Seattle, 7 my Brownies, 6 the Ravens, 5 the Rams, 4 the Packers, 3 the Bills, 2 the world champion Bucks, and then 1 your Kansas City Chiefs, Anthony. And I got a question. We've already talked about how we all agree that the 1 and 2 should be flipped and the Bucks should be number 1. But any other teams in there, any disagreements you have, teams too high, too low in that top 10? What do you guys think of it?
I think they're solely going off of paper, because if they aren't going off of paper, I wouldn't put the Rams above the Browns right now. Honestly, I'd say Browns are probably 6 and Rams are 7, just because Rams getting Stafford. I understand Stafford's a huge addition, but he hasn't played a snap yet with LA. So we don't know what he's going to play like. I think it's unfair to put a Browns team that did very well, I think, by all standards. And I think last year to put the Rams above them. I think Browns are definitely – I wouldn't put them in top 5. I still agree with Ravens, Bills, Packers. I agree with all those being ranked above them. I just think the Rams are being ranked a little bit too high, and I think they're putting a little bit too much in Stafford's basket right now.
I wanted to know they were talking about this on ESPN yesterday or the day before. You guys both agree that you don't necessarily think that Pat Mahomes, you think there's room for improvement and that he hasn't peaked. But I want to talk about another NFL MVP real quickly, if we can, in Lamar Jackson. Do you think the league has figured him out a little bit here, or do you think he'll come back and be even better than he was last season?
Lamar Jackson is his own worst enemy because we've seen him countless times when things don't go right. You see him on the sidelines. He's throwing his helmet, throwing a fit. He can't mentally come back from adversity. And he every year they've gotten in the playoffs, and every year the teams have gotten up on him a little bit. Maybe he throws an early pick, and mentally he's out of the game for the rest of the game. So
yeah, I think Lamar Jackson, I think it's going to come down to what he needs to learn in football, and I think it's just going to be football IQ, and I think that's where Anthony thinks Patty Mahomes needs the most room for improvement. I think it's with Lamar. I think Lamar has tremendous athletic ability. I think he is one of the most revolutionary quarterbacks at that position, and he's right up there with Michael Vick in that mobile quarterback position, but I think it just comes down to reading defenses and just being a little bit smarter behind center. I think is Lamar's biggest thing. But other than that, I think Lamar, tremendous athlete. I mean, he did get better too. And I did notice that a lot smarter reading the passing plays and going to elect to go with the pass rather than running the ball a lot more last season. I look for a lot more of that coming into this next year as well.
And then a final thing, just real quick before we do get into the questions. I just wanted to know, do you guys think that the so-called experts and analysts are a little too high on the Bills? Because I know Josh Allen, he's coming off a terrific year, but he really didn't get great until Stephon Diggs got there. And I think you look at offensively, I think from an offensive perspective, the Browns' overall talent is better than the Bills. I think the Bills are better defensively, but I think offensively, the Browns overall are better. What are your quick thoughts on that?
Nope, Bills are ranked ahead of the Browns, in my opinion.
I think that the Bills should be ranked ahead of the Browns, but the ranking system still doesn't make sense because the Bills are ranked underneath the Chiefs because the Chiefs beat the Bills, but the Chiefs are ranked ahead of the Buccaneers, which, I mean, it doesn't make sense. And I do think the Bills are ranked too high because they're what, third?
Third.
Yeah, I think there are better teams in the AFC below Kansas City I think there's a better number 2 team in the AFC other than the Buffalo Bills right now.
So you don't think the Bills are going to repeat as AFC champion contenders?
I think I don't think this year. It depends though, because I think the division's going to be improved. I think they're not going to. I don't think Miami's going to be a slouch. I think New England getting a couple of tight ends and getting a lot of their defense is going to be a lot tougher this year. So I think the Bills are going to have some more competition in that.
All right,
East.
Scotty, you're under time. You got time for maybe 1, maybe 2 questions.
Yeah, so. I gotta fire them off. I guess I'll get to it. This first one's probably going to be a layup for you, Ty, but I figured I'd just...
This is so sad. At the end of the last one, you had one in the chamber we thought we were really excited about.
I thought I would just throw it on anyway. What former Indian hit a walk-off grand slam off the great Hall of Fame closer Mariano Rivera on July 14th, 2002.
I'm trying to think of all those walk-off home runs that happened right around that year. When you first said walk-off grand slam, or when you first said grand slam, I thought you were going to bring up Albert Bell's grand slam against Baltimore is where you're going, because that's usually the one a lot of Cleveland fans go to.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know this one. I got to think about.
It takes Ty some time to boot up, but don't get too ahead of yourself, Scott.
You're saying I'm getting too bullish.
Yeah,
too confident. He's thinking those.
He did this to you 2 weeks ago.
I can't think of that first name is the problem. I can't think of the first name. I think it's Selby. It's Selby though. Is his last name? I think it's Selby. I think is Selby. I can't think of the first name though.
Oh my gosh!
You don't have not even a guess.
I can't think of what his first name is
right now. If you get last name Selby,
I think it's Selby though.
If that's right, we're going to give you the answer.
Just Throw out a guess for the first name. I want to see if you could guess it.
Oh my
Because
god!
I remember watching this game. That's the only reason I know it. I didn't know the day, but I researched it this morning.
I can't think of the
I'm
first.
a bit older than you guys, so
I can't think of it just because I only remember. I think the announcer does. The announcer talk about his first name in the walk-off call? Does he mention
Hammy did, yeah.
I don't know if I heard Ham. I think I heard the television broadcast.
Yeah, Hammy's was great. They probably got it on YouTube.
That's where I've seen the video. I don't think I've heard Hammy's call on it, though.
Yeah, Hammy's was great. But I give you a lot of credit. You didn't get it fully, but I'll give you credit anyway. It was utility infielder Bill Selby.
I am the impartial judge, and I'm giving Ty that point.
I was gonna think. I wasn't even gonna think Bill. I don't think. I was thinking something with a B. I thought it was like I was gonna say Bobby.
Because he knew who it was.
Bobby
he knew the
Selby
last
is
name,
what I was gonna. I thought it was.
The only way I wouldn't give Ty that point if it was like something like a generic last name like Jones.
That's not even the actual person. That's when you wouldn't give me the point if I actually didn't guess the right thing.
You know, it's Jones. Well, yeah, but what Jones was it? Because there's like 5 different Jones in MLB right now.
Okay, and then final question. I know you guys got an interview to get to, and thank you for letting me be. I just love being a part of Running Point. I'm gonna roll out in a minute here, but one final question for you, Ty. Who was the first this is a two-parter. Who was the first foreign-born player to win the NBA MVP award, and what year did he win it?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a real good one, Scotty. Oh man, now I got to think of all the NBA MVPs that have happened.
Ty, I hate to do this to you, but you are also under the clock because Christina Breaker is in the green room. So
I'm being rushed for time.
That's my
first
fault.
foreign-born NBA MVP. Who was the first foreign-born NBA MVP?
30 seconds.
Well, there were 30 seconds. It might. Well, it wasn't. I don't think it was. It was. It had to have been Hakeem Olajuwon.
You got it.
Boom.
You're amazing.
It had to have been. I was like, I didn't think. I was like, is Hakeem foreign? And
you didn't peek at my computer.
No. I was down like this the whole time.
Well, thank you guys. I know you got an interview to get to. Ty, you're like a god. But I have stumped you on that.
You have. I think he has twice one on me. He has one on me. You almost had me with that one because I was thinking back because I know Jokic. I knew Dirk and them, but no, I was thinking
with 10 seconds to spare.
I'll be back on in a half hour for the Power Hour. Have a great rest of the show, guys.
We look forward to seeing you on Power Hour as well, Scotty. Thanks again so much for joining us. As we always love Scotty Mincher joining us here on Running Point as we get great topics to discuss too, as he always brings great professional sports topics for us to discuss. As we know, we talk a lot locally, and I mean that is what we are here for. But we also like diving into professional sports because we are all sports fans.
That's where we get our little we got a little feisty with that one. That's where
we get feisty, but it brings out great debate topics.
That's where our debate kind of comes in. Okay, but coming in now, Christina Baker, the head volleyball coach at Newton Falls. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me.
And when you talk about Newton Falls and the volleyball team, what kind of things are you looking at that you returned this year that make this team so special?
We have 5 seniors coming back this year, and I mean, they all have a lot of experience playing varsity. I have one girl, well, actually 2 girls that have played have started 3 years of varsity, and bringing in those other seniors too along with them. We have a setter that's a senior, bringing in a lot of experience, plus our junior, Natalie Albert, coming in. That's a junior. She got plenty of varsity experience last year too. So I feel like we have a solid core that's been with the program for a long time, and they've just been on the court playing varsity and high school experience, and I want them to have fun this year.
Coach, I mean, starting off the season, winning 6 out of 7 sets. I mean, doing very well. You're 2-0 on the season. What have you seen that is working so well with the girls this year, and what have you been really impressed by?
I know coming in every year, you have to build some new chemistry with you're playing beside different people, possibly from last year, maybe a different rotation. But I feel like we've really taken on that role and really taken on, hey, we have to do this. This is what we've come to do. People in some different positions than they've used to, but I feel like they've stepped up in those positions when we've needed them to, and really embraced, what we're trying to do this year as a team.
When you look at the off season and you evaluated last year and you know what things you want to get better at this year, what were some things that you circled that you wanted to improve on from last year to this year?
I would say, I want them to communicate more. That's always a big goal for us, to get loud and be communicating with each other better out on the court. Being a little more aggressive out on the court, offensively and defensively. I always feel like there's always room for improvement with that. This group's a little bit on the quiet side, so I'm trying to get them to speak up a little more and be a little more hype, I guess, and rowdy, I guess, with each other and talk more.
You got an upcoming opponent tomorrow night at La Brea. Preview this matchup a little bit and what you're expecting from the Vikings.
Anytime we're playing La Brea, it's always a close match. We've had exciting games with them in the past years. And it's a league game. We're starting off the season right off, going into 2 league games. So La Brea always has a solid team, and we always have a good matchup with them. And I know they're going to step on the court ready to play, and we're going to try to play right with them.
Highlight your captains and some of the leaders that you're going to lean on to lead this team this year.
I have Lexi Drake. She's coming back as an outside hitter. She's one of my seniors. Emily Knight, my libero this year. She's done a fantastic job playing defense for us in the past, and I expect her to step into that libero role for us this year and pick up right where she left off. Olivia Vallow has been real talkative and come on strong as a setter for us, and another senior. Sage Elliott and Cadence Stewart finish off my outside hitter and middle hitters as seniors. And like I said before, I have Natalie Albert. She's coming back as a junior this year, and her defense has really picked up, and I have her playing a different position, playing outside hitter position, where last year she was basically a defensive person for us, and she has really come on strong for us. And let's see, I have Kaylee Bloom and Jazzy Dangerfield coming in as juniors, and I'm also playing some sophomores. Danny Drake and Lauren Burvish are coming in as some defensive help for us, and I'm playing a freshman this year, Lily Sate. And she's coming on as a middle hitter. So I'm expecting a lot out of her, and, her filling in and some people stepping into some roles where we need them to.
Talk to me a little bit more and highlight more of those freshmen that are stepping into those roles. Because, of course, as you know, older players they help with making a good team, but the younger players help make a good program. So highlight more of those freshman players and what you're expecting from them over the next coming years.
Well, I had 6 freshmen coming into this season. We had a lot of players. I have 19 girls on the team. Lily, that I'm playing in a middle hitter spot, she's excited to be out there, and those older girls have really brought her in. The juniors and seniors are really accepted and encouraged her to do well. And even with having somebody young like that out on the court with all those girls with experience, I think they've done a good job of communicating with her, kind of directing her, traffic wise out on the court. And she's been aggressive. She's excited. Like I said, she loves to play volleyball. Her mom is actually one of our past players that we've had. So she's kind of following in mom's footsteps a little bit. And she, like I said, she's fun to be around, and she's willing to learn and coachable. So that's a lot of fun. All the freshmen that I've had come in this year have been very, you start off slow a little bit. You're coming in from transitioning from that junior high to high school, but they're really coming on strong, and they've said they've learned a lot this year. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do in the future.
And talking about freshmen is a perfect segue to talk about the development of the youth in the Newton Falls program. What kind of things do you do to get them developed as possible before they get their freshmen, before they get to you as freshmen? Talk about your junior high programs and some of the things you do even before junior high.
Usually in the past, not the last couple of years due to, of course, COVID and stuff, we've done some camps and stuff for 5th and 6th graders, some skill things to try and bring them in with the high school girls, just to show them skill work and learning some of the, just the talk of what volleyball is and learning some of the lingo and teaching skill at a younger age. And I have a pretty solid, I have a 7th grade coach that is actually one of my former players. And she's been down in the 7th grade now for, I think this is her 4th year. So having that stability down in the junior high, and she knows my expectations of them coming up into high school. So she's done a good job of kind of pushing them and I guess leading them into high school, showing them what is expected of them and pushing them in drills and kind of teaching them the same things that we're doing in the high school. She does a fantastic job. I have a new 8th grade coach this year, and she's really come on strong, and she knows a lot about the game too. Madison's kind of showing her the ropes down there, but it's always helpful to have somebody that's already gone through your program coming back and helping, which is always a positive thing. I also have another former player that helps me in the high school. So she's gone back and forth. She used to coach in the junior high too. So having that stability and former players and then coaches that stay on for several years has been helpful. Previously, I had an 8th grade coach, and he was probably down there. He was with me in the high school for probably 3 years and then went down to the junior high for probably another 3 years. So just having that stability with them and consistency going through junior high into high school, I think has helped.
We're just 2 years removed from Newton Falls, that big tournament run and that big playoff run that you guys went on where you guys ended up falling to the Dalton Bulldogs on that Halloween night. Talk to me about what needs to happen with this team to be able to replicate that success and get back to that point.
The biggest thing with that team that we had then is they played as a team. And I feel like that's what it's going to take this year. I lost 3 seniors last year, but they had been a big part of the team. So meshing them all together and having that team camaraderie, that fire, I guess, when you step on the court and being confident, I think is a big thing. Like I said, I'm trying to get them fired up a little more and be a little louder and out on the court. And I feel like they've accepted their roles and stuff. It's just, being consistent and, you have it there, just go out and get it kind of attitude. That team, they definitely had a goal of getting to that tournament, and they wanted to be there, and they were willing to do whatever they needed to get there. So I'm hoping, come halfway through the season, you kind of make a turn in the team that, this is what we're going to do to get ready for the tournament kind of thing. You're not just getting through the season. And I'm hoping that this team is as accepting into that as past teams. And, it's just finding their groove and being where we need to be at the end of the season and playing it well together.
You talked about team camaraderie, and I'm sure having a normal summer was such a big impact to being able to build team chemistry and to be able to build that team atmosphere. Talk about what advantages having a normal summer back has meant to this program.
I mean, it's great to be, like you said, somewhat normal, and knowing we could come into the gym every day when we had open gyms and doing stuff over the summer. Everybody was there. It wasn't, we're waiting. I know at the beginning of open gym last year, we're out there washing balls and telling them you have to stay away from each other, which was all season last year. You kind of had to, hey, we want to come together as a team, but stay away from each other kind of attitude. And this year it was good to be, hey, we can come in and kind of do some of the fun stuff that we've done in the past and some of the team building activities that go along with us. Just building that chemistry over the season and being able to play all summer long was really good.
My final question for you, Coach, is actually going to be a 2-parter. And of course, so we knock on wood because we know there's a dark cloud that looms over us that's trying to ruin all the fun. But 2 straight home matchups, 2 straight wins. Talk to me a little bit about what it's meant to have the Newton Falls faithful back in the attendance, supporting you guys for those 2 home games. And then second part of the question, talk to me a little bit about what you've had to talk to about with your girls, again, going on to an away matchup with an away crowd being there as well.
We talk a little bit. I mean, I try to put the pressure on them a little bit in practice too, getting ready for big crowds. Over the last couple of weeks, when we've had some scrimmages, there have been quite a few fans there. So getting them used to playing in front of people, and boyfriends are going to show up now and stuff. And I try to kind of prepare them for the nerves they're going to have, especially having a big group of freshmen coming in. Our sophomores and our freshmen are sophomores had to go through that last year, so it wasn't as, we're going to have a big crowd at the game and stuff last year. That didn't happen. So they didn't have that experience as much. So we've done some things to try to get them past the nerves and get them ready. I tell them, you're going to go in and there's going to be people yelling at you on the sidelines and bigger people, to pay attention to all those crowds and stuff. You got to focus on your teammates on the court and pay attention to what's going on with your teammates and focus on what you need to do on the court, not worry about the crowds and mom and dad and boyfriends and everything. And we are going to go into some not so friendly environments where there are going to be, football teams coming to the games and some other people. So, that's just a fact you have to face. And I hope they're ready for that, even though as much as I try to prepare them for that, but hopefully we'll get that jitters out of our system early, and towards the end of the season, it won't be as bad. It's just that's part of the process, I guess, coming into high school too. As far as us, I try to encourage them to be safe. I know we've talked about, are you wearing a mask, who's vaccinated kind of thing, and encouraging people to, be safe when you're out in the community, as well as just in the gym. I try to make sure they're washing their hands, hand sanitizer, doing things just to make sure that, we're doing what we need to as a team, and as well as preparing for the game as well. So, it's one day at a time, and I try have them just enjoy the moment when they get a chance to come into the gym and make the much of it as possible. So it's day to day.
Talk about the Newton Falls community and how much they support you and how much that makes this program and what makes Newton Falls so special.
We've always had, parents have always been very supportive and coming to games and such. And I know, probably when I first started there wasn't, I'm going into my 15th season. When I first started, they didn't have hardly any crowds and everything. So now it's we got people ask for tickets to come in, or, hey, when's your schedule and stuff like that. So the community has always been very supportive of us, especially through the last few years, and as well as the girls have done. It's nice to see the community is taking notice of their success and the hard work the girls have done. And it's great to have that small town community feel to it. And the girls go to shops and stuff here in town, and people recognize who they are and say, hey, I've seen you on TV, since we've had some YouTube games on the last couple of years and stuff, or talking about the tournaments, or seeing their pictures in the paper, or asked about them. So, they've got a lot more recognition, and it's great to have that small community support wherever they go and see the big crowds coming in. I know this year we're hoping to get more of those regular people that used to come in before last year, when we were only allowed to have families. We had quite a few alumni and people that just enjoyed coming to the game. So I'm hoping that we'll start back up.
We know that head coaches get all the kind of praise, all the interviews, all the limelight, but wouldn't be anywhere without a staff. You've talked about your junior high coaches. Talk a little bit about the high school staff and the people that help you make this program what it is.
Like I said, I've had, you probably know my husband. My husband, Mark, has been with me since I started up. He didn't know anything about volleyball, and he's always been willing to help out, helping doing stats. And this year he had to take on the role of my JV coach again. He used to do it a few years back, but I brought one of my former players in, and she wasn't able to do it this year. So he's had to step into that role again. And he's a great teacher, great at teaching the skills and doing what I need him to do. You probably know him from girls basketball, that he's competitive, and that's what we're trying to get the girls to do, and taking on teaching those skills. And I know I can send him with a group of girls and, hey, let's do this, and this, and he can get it done. I've also had Lindsay Harris come in, one of my former players. She helps out, and she was one of my setters like the second year I coached. So having her be able to come in and help out with the girls has been great too, because like I said, former players know the expectations when they walk in this gym, and they're great at pushing the girls and encouraging them. I've had former players come on, and we've had speaker conversations where they've talked about, past when they played, and talking to the girls about being motivated and stuff. So that's always a help. I've had former players at the games. Last night I think I had 5 alumni at the game last night. So the girls seeing them in the stands and all that is always a big part of it too. But having that consistency, Tony Huschauer, he used to be my 8th grade coach. He's come on to help when we've needed him to. And he's been here for about 6 or 7 years, also helping with the program. So having that in the junior high and the high school, and everybody's consistent with what we're trying to do here.
Before we let you go, just lay out some goals that you have for this team overall, and maybe at the end of the season, if we got to talk to you again, some of the things that you would want to check mark at the end of the season that you've seen from your team.
Like I said, communication is a big one. Them speaking up, go out and cheer on yourself, be positive when you go out there, and the communication is part of that, being confident. Also, in being aggressive. I've always taught, defense starts and our offense finishes, but I want you to be aggressive the whole entire time. So really getting them to buy into that. I know starting off the season, a lot of it is, you're getting used to people and stuff, but I want them to come out and really be hungry for it and play with that heart at the end of the season, because that's when it really matters the most.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. I know it's limited. We appreciate you hopping on here on a Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much again. We look forward to covering you guys the rest of the year, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Christina Baker, the head volleyball coach at Newton Falls, joining us, and another really great interview, Ty, with another coach that we get a lot of nuggets from.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd absolutely love having all these coaches on and all these players, and just having these interviews too. And that's just been part of what we've been trying to do here at the new version of Running Point.
Not a lot of husband-wife duos, and that you see that dynamic has to be fun.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a fun dynamic to watch too. And that he was so willing to jump onto it and help her out with volleyball, despite not even knowing much about volleyball. I think that's absolutely huge, that coming into that, able to help her out. And I mean, they got a pretty darn good team over there too, starting off the season 2-0, and I expect more of the same from them going forward.
And yes, we do know Mark very well from girls basketball season, and come girls basketball season, we'll be talking to him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very strong program in Newton Falls when you talk about girls basketball and volleyball. So expect big things. They're going to be competing with LeBray tomorrow. They're going to be competing with Crestview in that MVAC. There's going to be a lot of fun things about the season this year for Newton Falls. We're going to take a quick time out and be back to wrap up this Wednesday edition of Running Point next on ysnlive.com.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Every customer has a story, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back to Running Point on Wednesday edition, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. And we are wrapping up this edition. We want to thank Christina Baker, the new head volleyball coach at Newton Falls, for joining us. Want to thank Brian Tolnar for joining us like he does every Wednesday and navigating some technical issues and getting back on for that tip of the week. It was clutch performance by Brian this week. And we want to thank Randy Clark, head coach of the Brookfield Warriors football team, for giving us a good preview of week 2 and a recap of week 1 and some things about Brookfield's program. We appreciate all those guests giving us some time. Want to break down some of the sports going on that you can go out and support this wonderful evening, as it might be one of the last really hot evenings of the year as we get into September. Volleyball has the night off, but when you look at soccer, let's go through the soccer games that are being played in the YSN family. Ursuline boys are going to be heading to Warren JFK. Waterloo girls are going to be heading to Garrettsville Garfield. United girls are traveling to Ursuline. That'll be at YSU. Howland girls are heading to Austintown Fitch. Remember that we talked to Samantha Marcio, head coach of the Fitch girls soccer team last week, and had a lot of good things to say about their team. That's a tough opener, and we'll see how Fitch does. Also, the Hubbard girls will be traveling to Struthers. So those are the soccer matchups that you can go out and watch this evening. It's a wonderful day for soccer. We always want to kind of promote going out and supporting these student athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when you have these days like tonight, I mean, especially if you're not doing anything, go out and go catch a soccer game, go support these schools. Because I mean, like we said, these schools, they need us as well as we need them. So, I mean, you need to be out there, you need to be supporting these teams, because I know as well as all the athletes do, and every athlete that I'll talk to, they all say they love it a lot better when the stadium, no matter what sport they play, is filled. So get out there and fill some stadiums.
Get out there indeed. We're getting out of here. We're going to be back tomorrow, 12 to 3. Power Hour next from 3 to 4. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all in about 21 hours.